In the tapestry of life, where every thread holds a story, America in black and white emerges as a haven for the voices echoing through the heart of our communities. In this podcast, we wade through the rivers of our collective experiences, celebrating the vibrant hues of change brought forth by the whispers of hope and the roars of action. It's more than just a conversation. It's a journey into the heart of our society, illuminated by the light of those daring to dream and do. Join us, and let your voice be the melody that guides us toward a dawn where every color finds its place in the masterpiece of our shared destiny. Together, let's paint a future brimming with the positives that dwell in our minds and the actions that shape our.
Can't hear you. Can you hear me? Check one, two. All right. Dr. Jones, can you hear me? Oh, no, okay, I can't hear you either.
Yeah.
Oh,
Can you hear me now?
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right. Well, while Brother Charles is trying to figure it out, we can still talk about it. How you doing, sir?
I'm wonderful.
That's good. That's good. Now you're in Pennsylvania?
I am right outside of Philadelphia.
Okay. Okay. So Simone told me she heard my television. I got the results on TV. I got another computer here, and then I got you guys here trying to keep up to date.
Yeah.
We're in Texas, so they just projected Texas for Trump, unfortunately, but we knew that was going to happen. We're now looking at the Senate race here in
Right.
Texas because Ted Cruz is up and
Uh,
Colin Allred is running well against him.
okay.
So, how have you been feeling today, being election day?
Oh, well, I'm in Pennsylvania, so like we're one of the key states, and I've just been trying to play it cool. It's not in my hands; it's in God's hands
True.
ultimately. But the people did what they needed to do. I mean, the numbers that are out there who are voting is
Right.
significant. Um, and the one area that is really big are the number of women that are voting. And I think that gives us an advantage
Right.
in the situation.
Right. And I think also that, in looking at all the polling throughout this entire race, I think that's been the underrated number because typically pollsters don't go to the women. It's
Hmm.
usually men for the most part that poll. So I think that's going to be the X factor in a lot of these states, especially the battleground states and some of the states that have not reported in as of yet. Because on my computer, they got the electoral college votes at 99 for Harris and 137 for Trump. So,
Yeah, we still have California and
right. New
those
York hasn't reported yet. Uh,
North Carolina. Well, I know they were counting in Georgia for sure.
yeah, yeah. Georgia, she's down. Uh, Trump is leading in Georgia 52 to 46.
Hmm.
South Carolina, they've already counted. Uh, they counted for Trump. She just got Delaware. They just reported Delaware. She's up in New York, 71 to 28.
But
Uh,
how about what did you say about Delaware?
Delaware just reported for Harris.
Okay.
Yeah. New York, they're giving the Harris already, but it's not on CNN yet. It looks like they made well, it's only 19% from Pennsylvania, but she's up 60 to 38.
Wow.
Yeah, that's gonna be a game changer.
Yeah.
And she's up in Michigan, 52 to 45.
Hmm.
Okay, okay.
Nothing
Wisconsin,
for nothing for Wisconsin.
nothing from Wisconsin yet. They were having some problems. It was reported that they were 30,000 votes had to be be recounted.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's true. I did hear
Yeah,
that.
but
Um,
I'm surprised they're giving Minnesota to Trump. But it's less than well, it's only 1% have been reported.
oh, yeah, that's.
Yeah, Minnesota's slow. I used to live there,
Uh,
but it's 67 to 30, so she's only half down. That's not bad, and with 1%, so that's a good
yeah,
sign.
I mean, the big urban areas, maybe they haven't gotten to those yet.
Right? Yeah, Hennepin and Ramsey County.
Yeah, those out
Uh,
those.
yeah, I was there for close to 20 years, so
Uh-huh.
I know how they vote.
Were you working for a company out there?
No, actually, I went to school
Okay.
at the University of Minnesota. I'm
Hmm.
originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
I have a friend that went to. Well, actually, he's a pastor. Went to University of Minnesota. His name is Dennis Green. Um, he is probably 70.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
No, I don't recall the name.
I'm sure it's a pretty big university.
No, we don't hear you, Charles. Did you try going out and come back in? Did it connect?
Well, if he goes out and comes back in, will that eliminate us?
I have no idea. Oh, it would? Oh, okay. Well, we can take a pause for station identification and see what happens.
Yeah. Well, we can do that and come back
Yeah.
in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll be here for a while. Go ahead and go out and come back in, Charles, see if it connects.
Right.
No?
No.
You say no. Okay.
Okay.
I do it with Zoom all the time. Yeah, I get caught up.
He has to figure out his technology.
Yeah.
So another part of the conversation is the older women.
Yes.
They were saying that a significant number of the older women are voting for Kamala.
Mm-hmm.
That they remember when the Roe versus Wade, the whole
Right.
time that they had it, then they didn't have it.
Mm-hmm.
So they reflect on that, and they're looking at their children and their children's children and how they
Right.
could be affected, their daughters and their grandchildren.
Right. And not only that, who was it? Either J.D. Vance or one of uh, Trump's surrogates said, "What do they care anyway? They can't have kids no more."
Mm-hmm.
So he done ticked off the seniors.
Yes. Well, they ticked off the Puerto Ricans too.
Right. Right. And I think that's the major shift in Pennsylvania right now.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And then several other celebrities in the Puerto Rican community came out and switched their vote
Right.
right after that. And it's so deep that had to happen for them to make the switch.
To get to
But
yeah.
they were going in the other direction, so maybe
Right.
that was godly intervention.
Well, he does do that sometimes.
Uh-huh.
Hey, so what about now? Can you guys hear me?
Oh, there you are.
Yes.
Are you still there, Charles?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm okay. So we're all
Yeah,
here.
we got you.
Yep.
All right.
We knew you figure it out. That's why we filled the air while you were trying to figure it out. Some of us have been at this game for a minute, so we know
Man.
when one goes down, the other picks up. It's called a marathon. That's all.
Yes,
Amen.
sir. Hey, so I want to apologize for the technical difficulties. I don't know exactly what just transpired, but at any rate, and being here, I'm glad that you guys are here. Um, so as we start now, I kind of heard you mentioning that there are some places that have already started to change as far as some results. Can you go over that again? What is it that you're seeing or that's actually changed?
Well, right now, Pennsylvania is showing towards Kamala, 59 to 39%. Well, I'll say 59 to 40%. New York, they haven't said it on the news, but on my screen here, they have already given the check to Kamala at 71% to 28%. New Hampshire still hasn't called it yet, but she's 54 to 44 in favor of Kamala. Now in Maine, it's a split. They split their electoral votes. Only 1% has been in, but Trump is up 52 to 45. I'm just looking at the East Coast right now.
Yeah, yeah.
They're close. Uh, Pretty much got Virginia's pretty tight. It's half of the vote has been in. Trump is only up 49.6 to 48.7. North Carolina, Trump is up with 41% in. Trump is up 52 to 47. Let's see which one. South Carolina has already been called. Florida has already been called for Trump. But those are the ones that are saying that he won anyway in 2020.
Yeah, well, we could expect that to happen.
Right.
The little small red states that he's gonna get, but I think as we get to I think like right about the 10 o'clock hour, 10
Mm-hmm.
11 o'clock hour, I think that's when the dominoes start to fall for Kamala Harris. Dr.
Right.
Jones, tell us what's going on in Pennsylvania and what are you hearing over in Pennsylvania right now as to the things that's transpired this morning up to now?
Okay, so I'm kind of biased since I'm on a college campus. We had lines around the student center, and students are waiting for hours to vote. And then in Temple University, they had the same thing, um, lines for hours of people waiting to vote. In Pennsylvania, if you're in line when it turns 8 o'clock, you can still vote.
Right.
So, but throughout the city of Philadelphia, numbers are big. She had the rally last night at the art museum.
Uh-huh.
I don't know the numbers, but I'm sure it probably was over 70,000 people
Mhm.
down there for that. And she just did a wonderful job of summing up her campaign. And so, now it's up to the Philadelphia residents to do what they do. I grew up in Philadelphia, so I have a
Okay.
passion for that to be the show through. We have, of course, Harrisburg and Pittsburgh and other large cities, but it's kind of Pennsylvania in the middle, uh, in the middle of the state, where
Right.
it's not too many people looking like us there.
Right.
Right.
But Erie, up in Erie is big. They say it's a big predictor of how well things are going to go. But there was a problem with some of the voting. So they're going to count votes that maybe the date was wrong or the signature wasn't on it.
Mm.
But that's going to take time. So
Right.
that may not totally come through until Thursday or Friday. But you still could have the majority of the votes done
Right.
prior to the release of those additional votes. So we'll see how they deal with that. But we've all been to elections where it's taken more than a second day to actually um,
Right.
clarify the votes. If you remember way back in the day when they had the what were they called? They were ballots with the little chads or something, and
Mm-hmm.
they didn't come out, and
Bush Gore.
yeah, and they took it to court, and it was a
Yep.
mess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
luckily we don't have to worry about that. But the interesting thing is they called Texas with only 57% of the vote in.
Well, you know what I think. As they're trying to create a situation, I
Right.
think even as much as they're trying to create the situation of having him have this lead here in the beginning, we know that's all bull tucky.
Uh-huh.
And I think for even with all the red states, it's still not enough for what the other blue, purple, and what's the other hueish of states that's out there that he still wouldn't have enough to actually win this election. So they can call those all they want to. But
Right.
I think once North Carolina falls the way it's going to fall and Georgia falls the way it's going to fall, I think as we get into the top of the hour, maybe halfway into the 10 o'clock hour, you're going to start to see those numbers rolling in where Kamala is actually going to come back and she's going to take this lead and she's going to finish this out. So let me just ask you guys while we're going through this. Tell us, what are some of the key issues driving voter turnout in your state? Let's start with you, Pastor Miller.
Well, I think Texas has always been Republican. So, as Dr. Jones and I were talking, it's going to be interesting because that's why I'm looking at Texas, is because they called it and only a little over half of the votes are in. But I think our biggest thing is the abortion rights. That's going to be key. And I think in the areas that I see that have still not been called yet, hopefully that will swing, because I see a lot of blue starting to pop up in Texas, because if you know, the news is coming from Texas, as far as women that have been killed, have died due to the Trump abortion ban and all of that. So that's what in some areas, like I haven't seen Dallas County, which is the biggest county here. I haven't seen those numbers yet. Austin hasn't reported. El Paso County has already gone, is already blue. So I'm keeping my eye on Texas in certain areas, and see where that number goes, because it could be that Texas turns blue.
Right.
Because a lot of people are really up in arms with the whole abortion things. I mean, we've lost maybe 4 or 5 women that have died because they had to go across state lines, and it wasn't out of convenience. It was because there was something medically wrong with the baby, and they still couldn't do anything. And so I'm hoping, like I said, Texas is a big state, but there are some key areas that I'm not seeing, which I'm hoping will kind of move it along. The other race, of course, we're looking at is the Senate race with Ted Cruz and Colin Allred. That's our big thing here. Right now, it's it hasn't been called, but it's 52-46 in favor of Ted Cruz, but that's with 58% reported. So we got some time, and like I said, the big states, the big areas haven't been called yet.
Yeah, so DFW is basically the main part of what you guys are looking for, as well as Harris County.
Right.
And so I think that you're right about that. Those 2 counties make up the entire state primarily. So yeah, I think Colin Allred has got a lot of making up to do, but I think he's more than going to do that. Dr. Jones, can you tell us what are some of the key issues driving voter turnout in your state?
It's the same: abortion rights, women's rights, definitely driving it. It's there's this false thing out there that Black men are not coming out for Kamala, and it's not true.
Right.
They're coming out in droves for her. We've had a lot of she's been really interesting. When she's come to the city, she's visited a number of barber shops. She's got around. She she has been out there really getting connected with the people, and I think that that was another driving force that um, she actually made a difference in connecting with the communities. She actually went to the communities where there are large numbers of Puerto Rican uh, uh, people before this issue came up from a week ago. So she already knew that that was a group that she needed to approach in Allentown, Bethlehem, and those areas, as well as Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I, that one situation on that Sunday flipped the whole. There's like over 500,000 Puerto Ricans in the state, and
Mm-hmm.
that's flipped them all around. So again, looking at people of color, that's another big thing. How can we engage them? How can we get them involved and help them to see the benefit of their involvement? I think that's been an issue, but I'm looking forward to seeing the numbers
Mm-hmm.
ultimately and how well they turned out, and I'm looking to see this as an election where the numbers just out outdid themselves in terms of people who are actually voting.
Right.
Because the enthusiasm on her side is huge.
Right.
It's huge, and for her to come and spend her last um,
Right.
presentation at our art museum, and then I'm kind of biased, but I'm a Howard University graduate, so I'm
Right.
glad she's landing there right now. I would love to be with her.
So let me ask you this, though, Dr. Jones. Last year, after all of the stank and everything that the Trump campaign tried to pull in 2020, and Philadelphia gave us the president of the United States, do you kind of like feel like or seeing anything that's trending that way that Kamala actually is holding the ground to where it's still looking like Pennsylvania is still going to be in the blue column?
Yeah, I feel pretty confident because of the outreach. Another example of that is we've had five um, different groups come to our home to make sure
Uh-huh.
that we voted,
Right.
and they're telling me that the same thing has been happening around the state. That we really have a ground game in Pennsylvania that Trump doesn't have. That they're
Right.
actually doing this, following up. They see a sign in your yard that doesn't actually mean that you voted. So they're coming up to the door to make sure that you voted. And so I think that there's an actual push, not just in signage, but in activity. And then the enthusiasm behind that is driving people to come on out and vote. So we're right there. We're in the game. I'm confident that we're going to win, and I don't know how big, but I'm confident we're going to win.
Pastor Miller,
Yes, sir.
can you tell us how has the political climate changed since the last election in Texas?
Well, I think from what I see, there are a lot of people from other states moving to Texas.
Right.
Texas is becoming the last hurrah for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm.
the weather, a lot of your older, and when I say older, I mean like 45 and up. I'm not talking like 50. They're relocating because we got a lot of land.
Uh-huh.
We're the last land mass in the country. So with that, you're getting other political views
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
that are coming in because it's no longer Texas is Texas. I give you an example.
Uh-huh.
In the Senate race, very seldom since I've been here have I seen the governor make a pitch
Mm-hmm.
and ever actually say who he's behind.
Right.
It's very seldom that a governor will come out and say that,
Right.
because you got to be for all the people.
Right.
But Governor Greg Abbott came out and did a endorsement of Ted Cruz,
Oh, wow.
and he said, "Let's keep Texas, Texas."
Mm.
That was the commercial.
Okay. Yes.
So that
Let's
lets
keep
you
the good old
know
boy.
that he already knows that things are shifting.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, and
Mhm.
so I was amazed that I wasn't surprised, but I was amazed because you don't see a governor come out and endorse anybody.
Right.
But for him to say Ted Cruz is this and Ted Cruz is that, and all of us down here know that he went to Cancun during COVID. I mean, and nobody forgot that, you
right.
know. And so it's like, no, well, no, it wasn't COVID. It was when we had the winter storm. That's what it
Yes.
was.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I
When
forgot.
the
He
power grid
was,
went out again.
yeah, yeah. He went to warmer climate while we was freezing our took us off.
Mhm.
A lot of folks haven't forgotten that. Plus, you have Colin Allred running a good campaign.
Yeah, yeah.
He's running a solid campaign. He's much like saying what Dr. Jones was saying in Pennsylvania. He's going door to door. I mean, he's out there. He's visible. His ground game is good.
Hmm.
But I think it's going to come down to the rural areas
Mhm.
where they really don't follow what's going on,
Right.
and they're going to in his area. And so I'm looking at the Harris County. You had mentioned Harris County. Um, Kamala Harris is in the lead there, 52-46.
Well, I'm surprised that's not going to get larger because we know in that part of Houston, where Houston is on the coast, uh,
Right,
there's where a lot of people that identify with Kamala Harris, I know, is definitely going to vote for her, despite
right.
the voter suppression laws that they tried to implement there.
Yep.
Hmm.
And then in Dallas County, just to give you an idea, and I'll give you the Senate breakdown in a minute. Computer's a little quick. Oh, there it is. With 51% counted, Kamala has 60-37.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. When I looked, I'm like, yeah, might have called that a little too soon because I don't see the numbers reflective of those type of numbers. But in the Senate race, let's see, it's 52-45 still with 61% reported. It hasn't been called yet, but let me see what the big counties are doing. Excuse me. Yeah, all red is up in Dallas, 62-35 in Dallas County, and in Harris County, there it is. He's up 53-44 with
Okay.
72% in. So it's going to be tight. I think is what Dr. Jones said. It's going to be the margins are going to be tight.
So, Dr. Jones, can you tell us how has the political climate changed in Pennsylvania since the
Yeah.
last election?
Said
I said, how has
hello?
the political climate changed in Pennsylvania since the last election?
Oh, um, I think a lot more. Um, there was a big gap in the number of people in Philadelphia who were people of color who did not vote, and I always say we could actually lose the state if these people aren't voting. So I think,
Mhm.
Kamala kept coming back to Philadelphia, kept reminding them and reminding them. The ground game kept reminding them that we need them to get out there. And so a lot of them actually voted ahead of time. They actually mailed in their ballots ahead of time across uh, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and Harrisburg.
Mhm.
So that you could actually get a picture of what was going on early. And then I'm confident that others have come out as well. Now, I was thinking of this commercial that I saw. I don't know, just a little commercial here in the middle of this. Um, there's a commercial where there are two white women, and they're looking, and so they're in the voting booth, and they're looking at each other, and they're looking at their ballot, and then it has Kamala and it has Trump, And then one of them circles Kamala, and they look at each other, and they walk out of the booth. And so the husband says, "You voted for the right person, didn't you?" And she said, "Yes, I did." And and I think a lot of that's going on around the country, where you can't go into the booth with your wife to actually vote. So there were a lot of people who were upset at that particular commercial that has spread all across all the networks to reaffirm to them it's okay for you to make a decision for yourself, because these men are trying to make a decision for you.
Yeah.
Right. So I think with you guys both stating the fact of abortion being this top issue that most people are looking at, and we know that most women, especially in the conservative states where there are more abortions, there are more problems with the incest, the rape, the all of those things. And that again, still these people are not feeling like that they have to cover that. But what I'm thinking is that as we get further and further into this election, as the night goes on, I think that is going to be the deciding factor when they do the closing polls that they take for people that are leaving, the exit polls, shall I say. What do you guys think?
Oh yeah, they've already been asking those questions.
Right.
They've already been asking people in line, what's their issue and why they're voting. And people who've exited, I've seen them have that conversation. If you have an opportunity, I will tell you to listen to Michelle Obama's Michigan speech last Saturday. And she broke down the whole life cycle of a woman, from early childhood to puberty to their first period, having children, and then menopause. She broke the whole thing down. All these areas where the health of women is so valuable in terms of their treatment, doctors treating them. And now we're trying to strip all of that care away, along with the whole abortion issue. And so I think that that's driving women as well, the overall bigger picture of their health that men are trying to control.
So, Pastor Miller.
Yes.
What are the most common concerns you hear from voters?
Well, you have to understand, I have a kind of a national position because, we don't talk about politics that much.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I mean, we don't. I mean, not as much as I think we should. But I think, the common consensus is when Roe v. Wade was struck down, it really shifted the landscape of America. For women, of course, but there was a groundswell of a shift for men. Because, of course, we don't naturally, understand abortion and all that. Sometimes we're the cause of it, if we want to be real. But anyway, but I think when that right to choose was taken away, I think it shifted how people listen to Trump versus how they listen to Kamala. Because you could hear, once that happened for me, and I think for a lot of people, you could hear the dictatorial voice. Once that law was gone, you could hear it. Because it's like, if you could do this on this level while you were president and you said you were going to,
right?
I'm going to get 3 Supreme Court justices. I'm going to put them on the Supreme Court, and I'm going to get rid of Roe v. Wade. And then you went for the next 4 or 5 years touting the fact that you did it. I think his toutingness caused a shift to happen to what we see now. Whereas when, Biden, made the righteous decision, I believe, to step aside and allow, Kamala to come in, and to see men, just African-American men, Latino men, white men, all these men started going, towards Harris. I think a lot of it was because they saw the effect of it on their sisters, on their wives, on their aunts, on their mothers, and all
Mm-hmm.
of that. And they were like, no, it's time for a change. There's no way that this country can survive another 4 years under a Trump administration. It's absolutely no way,
Hmm.
especially if you're listening to what he's saying. Now, if you
Mm-hmm.
just going for the flow, then you won't care. But I
Mm-hmm.
think as the race continued, people started to really listen.
Mm-hmm.
Project 2025 became something that was a readable document. It
Yes.
wasn't just a soundbite.
Yes.
Right.
People started downloading
Yes.
this information and really saying, okay.
Hmm.
And then you saw, the commercials were really for the Harris campaign. I think they did a phenomenal job of using social media, of using commercials to really point out the difference. And so for me, when I do my show on Fridays, Q&A with Pastor D, a lot of our conversations was around the election, of course, but it was really a lot of women that came on that were like, you know what? I'm telling my sister, my aunt, my cousin who's a female, I'm making sure they get to the voting polls
Mm-hmm.
because we can't have this man in the vote. And it wasn't just a gender thing; it was just a right thing.
Right.
Because I don't think
Hmm.
Kamala made sure not to run on her gender.
Right.
She made sure she didn't run on her race. A lot of
Right.
the other folks made it of her ethnicity and things like that, but you never heard it come out of Kamala's mouth or
Right.
any of her surrogates. So I think that's really what turned the tide, from what I could see and what I experienced on my platforms. But I think moving forward, however this shakes out, we in our community have to become more politically astute, not just on the national, but all the way down the pipe.
Right.
Because the national only does so much, federal
Mm-hmm.
only does so much. It's who's in your state house,
Mm-hmm.
who is your state representative, who is your county commissioner. Those are the ones that affect your house.
All politics is local.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
And I
So
think that we can't, just to add to that, I think that we can't wait for the schools to educate our children about politics and the impact that it has on their lives,
right,
because they're not going to tell that story of what it has been, how it has impacted us. And if anything, they're going to try to take books and information out of the school system to keep them undereducated about the political issues in our
right.
community.
You both hit on two key things. And I think, these are some issues that they're not discussed as much, but I'm just wondering, what is you guys' opinion as to how they really matter? One of them is, when you're just talking about in the schools and them taking out the books and the school history, not talking Black history, I mean.
Hmm.
How do you think, and what do you think are the effects of that? And what should people in our community, people that look like you and I, what do you think are some of the things that they should be thinking about as we're going into the future, despite if Harris is president or not? What are some of the things that we should be looking at?
Well, I think we need to be aware of the fact that they are really taking libraries out of schools.
Mm-hmm.
I Someone talked to me, I can't remember who it was, and they were like, "Oh, we were talking about the publishing industry and how books are not being written as much anymore. A lot of people are doing self-publishing.
Right.
A lot. There's not the big houses like Pilgrim and some and Schuster. Those guys.
Simon and Schuster.
Some, yeah, all of them. You see the name, but a lot of self-publishing companies have bought the name, but have gone to self-publishing. And so there's a misnomer of the big house versus you still doing it yourself.
Right.
And so libraries in schools are being shut down.
Mm-hmm.
They're no longer really libraries in school because we're so technologically astute in our schools with the computer and Google
Yeah.
and Wikipedia but that also takes away the ability to read.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're becoming slowly illiterate.
Mm-hmm.
We're not, because we're not reading, we're not sitting down reading a book. It's not required in the classroom anymore. They're giving tablets to kids instead of giving books to kids. You see kids coming home from school now with nothing in their backpack.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, where's your homework?
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah,
like,
you're right.
what do you do for 7 hours in school if you ain't bringing something home?
Right.
And I live
Yeah.
right next door to a school. And I see these elementary school kids coming out, and I'm like, y'all going to the playground after school. Y'all ain't got no books. Y'all ain't making a beehive to the car. I mean, it's like, what's going? And so to me, it's like the dumbing down of America.
Right.
You know, which makes it comfortable for a Trump to run for office.
Yeah.
He's about the most illiterate person I've ever seen in my life. You know, so that's my fear. My fear is, and what we have to do was your question. We in the Black church, we in the Black community, we have to make sure our kids are literate.
Yep.
You know, I was sitting with my grandkids, and I'll pass it on. I was sitting with my grandkids about a week ago, and they were over, and it was during the day, and they're homeschooled. So they came over to do their work and stuff, and I'm looking at their work and things like that. And, you know, I try not to be the teacher that I am because they got parents, you know, so I try not to be the teacher. But I'm like, it's Connor and Kennedy are my grandson's granddaughter. I said, they need to start working on their penmanship.
Right.
You need to go to the store, get them books like we grew up with when you sat at the table and you made a D for 5 times and a E for 5 times, but it caused you to be able to write. You know, these kids are so used to LOL and OMG and all this kind of stuff, and we got to get them out of that. We got to get them out of that. We got to get them to use this instead of using this or using this.
Right.
Yeah, there was a period, and I understand they're trying to now reverse it, but there was a period where they were no longer writing; they were just printing everything in all the schools.
Yep.
But I'm understanding there's school districts that are now trying to bring back the writing to, you know, it's an individual signature of, you know, that distinguishes you from the next person.
Right.
And so they are taking a look at that. But I agree with you. It's interesting how I was talking to a student today, and he said that he uses Chat GPT to,
oh wow,
let's say he has problems. He has a problem set in his math class. He asked Chat GPT to give him similar problems that he could work on to the ones that were happening in the class. And so if you don't need that information, like we used to hold it all in our head, including phone numbers, if you don't need that information, you're just gonna say, well, I can always just access it. So why am I retaining it? Because I can always access it. I can always go online and read X book, and I don't have to retain it because I can always go back to it. So I think that's what the technology is driving, that you're almost like these unfilled people, unfilled of information, unfilled of knowledge, and that plays out in how people ultimately treat each other and how they respect each other, because, you know, they don't have that accountability through the things that they've read, and that has a tremendous impact on them. And that goes back to what you were saying about books not in. Yeah, libraries are just places where everybody brings their laptop, and they have meetings. And, you know, we're building a new library on our campus. That's what they're going to be doing. They're not building it for the shelves. They're building it for the students to bring in their laptops and sit at tables and sit in conference rooms and do group study. So it's a whole different approach.
Wow.
The other thing, the other point that one of you all brought up was the homeschooling situation. Now, I want you to know, Pastor Miller, you sounded just like one of the guys that helped me produce America in Black and White, Blake. If Blake is listening, Blake, you just heard what you said verbatim come out of Pastor Miller's mouth. You know, he was talking about homeschooling and how he homeschooled his daughter, but you know, and how he was able to make her a much better student than what the school was doing because the school wasn't actually teaching.
Right.
He had the concern of his daughter not actually bringing home books from school. You know, everything is left at school and they don't have to do this, that, or the other. But
Mm-hmm.
he wanted to make sure his daughter was on top of things. So he took that matter in his hands. Do you think that a lot of our parents should start doing that same thing?
Well, there was a time where that wouldn't even been a question.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
But I think because the world is moving so fast and parents have to do so much with so little that we have to, yes, the short answer is yes, we should be doing it at home, but I think we have to do it smarter, not harder. And what I mean by that is that there is a way that you can use technology in order to supplement what goes on at home. I mean, in the school, but don't become dependent on technology. So even if you have a child that works on a computer or you give them an assignment to write something, don't just leave it at that. You still got to spend time with them,
Yeah.
and look at that work and make sure it's right. And I fell prey to that with my sons. We got caught up in life. And so I remember my oldest son was in school and he had to write a creative writing story. And that's where the LOL and the OMG, while he was writing, he was like, LOL, OMG. And I looked at that paper, I was like, what the what? This ain't no text message. This is school. And he's like, well, I just thought since that's the way I talk, but that's how they think. That's the way I talk. And they asked me to write a paper. I wrote a paper the way I talk. I'm like, no, son. You got to write a paper so that people understand. Okay,
There's content.
Yeah, exactly. Not everybody understands LOL, okay, and OMG, and so it's those type of things that we have to be mindful of, even when they send text messages. If they're sending text messages, don't let it be all emojis and signs and things like that. No, send me a message. So all my kids send me messages. It's like, don't give me no acronyms or nothing, because even at 27 and 32, you still got to work on your stuff.
Right.
So New York just got called, in case you weren't watching.
No.
New York just got called for Harris. Yeah.
So, Dr. Jones, what do you think about the homeschooling situation?
I have had some wonderful homeschool students come to the university that have been taught well, are more whole with, from the pressures that often happen in high school. They avoided that pressure and they could just focus on being an excellent student. So I guess, given the right curriculum, it can be beneficial. And then those students also, let's say they play a sport, they can still play that sport at the local high school, but get the education at home. And education can also be going to a science library, going to a Black History Museum. So they have options of things that they can do, but it gives the parent more control of what information is going in and what knowledge that they bring to the table. So I think I'm definitely for it from my experience.
And just to add to that, I know a number of parents that are homeschooling their kids as well. And I always caution that they make sure that they get the socialization that they need, because the isolation can be, can be critical if they ever have to go into a public setting. I have one parent who homeschooled them up until their junior year. And then in their senior year, they let them go to public school just to get that socialization enough to get ready to go to college. You know, and so it's a balancing act, because some kids, if you do it right, they can still have that socialization and do a hybrid type of deal. Certain things they go to school for, and certain things they do at home, depending on the grade level. So I think we just have to be careful that we don't miss out on those critical years age wise, where they need to know how to socialize with people, and interact with people. Otherwise, they get to a culture shock when they get to college, because they've never had it in the formative years.
Welcome, Pastor Bowman. How are you?
Doing pretty well. How about you, my brother?
I'm doing excellent. Welcome to the show. I see you got your iPad charged.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, what are some of the things that you've heard that's been taking place in your state where you are, as to I think they've already called your state, for Trump.
Yeah.
Right.
What are some of the things that you're hearing that was happening there before that call?
Well, no surprise, Charles. As you know, Kentucky is a ruby red state. Ironically, we do have a strong Democratic governor. However, for the last 3 elections, including this one, the state has gone strongly for Trump. So that is by no means a surprise. In fact, I'm going to pull up some numbers for you in real time. All right, so as of now, looks like Trump has 63.8% of the vote in Kentucky, and Harris has 34.7%. And yeah, so that's pretty.
Now this is crazy, because my numbers show 64.1 and 34.4.
Okay.
I mean, but it's just, that's how it's so hard to tell with the numbers what's really going to happen, because, and that's totally different than what's on CNN right now. It's like, but I'm sorry, Doc, I didn't mean to step in.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. Yeah, I presume that you're watching John King on CNN. He's the numbers guy.
Yeah. But I also have a real time on my computer.
Okay.
And so, they got the map on CNN at 162 to 81 in favor of Trump, but mine shows 188 to 99 in favor of Trump. So it's like, I'm trying to figure out who to believe.
Right. Yeah. Right.
In the Senate race in Pennsylvania, Casey is winning 49.9 to 47.6.
Okay.
Well, but that's what's the percentage of the precincts that's in right now?
I think it says 70%.
Okay, 70%, and so
that's going to be a close race.
Yeah, Pennsylvania is that plus one, that 50 plus state, right?
50 plus 1.
Is it the 50 plus 1 state where you have to win a little bit over 50% in order to win, or else it's a runoff?
I'm not familiar with that. That could be possible, but I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, I got Casey at 49, 47.
Yeah.
49.8 actually. So I mean, he's right there, but I've only got 40% so far.
Overall, okay.
Yeah.
So maybe some of the bigger counties aren't in yet, but
right.
It may be that the middle of the state is in, and I expect there to be a lot of red in the middle of the state.
Yep. I'm looking at the state right now. The what would that be? The south, if I'm looking at it, the southeast corner. Montgomery, Bucks, Chester, Lancaster, York.
That's up under Philadelphia, right?
That's outside of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
It's suburbs of Philadelphia.
Yeah. So yeah, Philly is 27%. I'm looking at the Senate race, but it's already Bob Casey's up 79.8 to 17.6, and that's with 27% reported.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Pastor Bowman,
Delaware, he's killing it too.
Pastor Bowman, I want to ask you a question. If you could tell us what were some of the key issues that was driving voter turnout in your state?
I would say that there were two amendments on the ballot, and the second amendment was the most prominent with regard to vouchers. And I voted no on that because in my study of vouchers over the years, I've determined that it was a scheme to siphon money out of public education. And you got to look at not just the amendment itself, but the agenda behind the amendment. And so, yeah, that would be one of the main issues that was driving the voter turnout this year.
Okay, and so since the last election in 2020, has the political climate changed in Kentucky at all?
Not significantly, no. Like I said before, Kentucky is a ruby red state, and Republicans are very much in power. However, we do have an excellent Democratic governor, has done a pretty commendable job in terms of manning the ship, but yet and still the Republicans do have a stronghold here, particularly as it relates to presidential politics.
So, what were some of the common concerns that you heard from the voters there in your area?
Well, like I said, Amendment 2, a number of my colleagues and friends voted no on it, but additionally, Trump really has been the primary motivator. There are a number of people who are constituents of mine who just can't stand Trump, and I don't blame them. And we've been, trying to encourage folks to get out the vote, and hopefully that will make some kind of difference, even though the state has already called for Trump.
So, I want to ask all of you guys this question here. How are your local communities reacting to the candidates' campaigns? Was there anything positive or negative that you guys think took place in their campaigns that we need to be knowing about?
Well, I think the overall demeanor of the campaigns was very starkly different. Kamala's campaigns here were very upbeat, very positive, very forward thinking, and Trump's campaign was basically griping, mad at the world, woe is me kind of stuff, doom and gloom, highly critical of everybody except himself. Now here in Texas, you really didn't hear a lot about rallies, campaign rallies or anything. You didn't see a lot of Trump people in the metro area. Now they may have been out in the rural areas, but I'm near Dallas, so you didn't really see a ground game from the Trump campaign, but you definitely saw one from the Harris campaign. So I think it was just so different, and the television ads were so different. And like I said before, Kamala used the social media very well, to try to reach that young, millennial, Gen Z, college voter. And so, again, it's my hope that in the areas that she needs it, those are the numbers that come out, because she did all she could to get to them, and she did it early on. I mean, the minute she said something, her slogans were on a T-shirt. I mean, the minute she said something else, it was a quip on TikTok or Instagram, and so she used her team really did well. Now they got on my nerves asking me for money, you know, but I don't need 10 reminders in one day. Good Lord. And then you come out and say you giving money away because you got so much money. I'm like, then why I keep getting a notification? You know,
Uh,
somebody's lying, so because I was gonna write him and say, hey, give me a check, so but it was I think he just ran a negative campaign.
Mm-hmm.
I think 100% was a negative campaign. And he appealed to those people that are, no disrespect to some that may be on the show, but to a lower IQ.
Well, that's absolutely true, because when it comes to those non-educated, especially non-educated men,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yep.
that was like unbelievable to see that they could let a mockery of an individual make a fool out of them, just like the C student and George W. Bush. That was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
That was horrible. But the impact of that, especially when it just comes down to life in general, that should be a sign that these people should be doing something better with their lives and think about better ways of using and spending their time. Because if listening to somebody like this that knows how to create this upheaval and get people going in all these different directions and have people going crazy, there's a problem there.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Jones, how was the local communities up there in Pennsylvania reacting to the candidates' campaigns?
well, both of them were all over the place, and they very often were in the same town at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
um, sending their message. But the the closer we got to the actual election, the less people were showing up for the Trump events than the Harrison events. There was a lot more enthusiasm and engagement and preparation and excitement about her coming. Um, Trump was often late for his rallies, and then had the same thing to say over and over again, so that people they were actually leaving rather than staying. And in the Kamala's events, people were hanging around afterward, just to socialize and be out with each other. So I think the enthusiasm was really high throughout the time that she's been involved. And when you think about it, she didn't have a whole 2 years of this campaign.
Hmm.
She's had months to get it up and running and get everybody engaged. So I just have to applaud her for how she made the team come together, and she chose the best people to help her to present herself to the country.
Mm-hmm. So, Pastor Bowman, do you know of any reactions in the communities alluding to the candidates' campaigns that transpired over this period of time up to today?
Well, I would say that for Vice President Harris, there's been an awful lot of enthusiasm, particularly here in Jefferson County, which is the county in which Louisville lies. And
Mm-hmm.
I would presume that Fayette County, where Lexington is similarly enthusiastic. But having said that, even in Jefferson County, we have some pretty strong pockets of Trumpism. And
Yeah.
so naturally, I've been seeing in my subdivision some Trump flags and whatnot. But that being said, I would say that there's been an awful lot of enthusiasm in terms of my peer group as it relates to Vice President Harris.
Welcome
Mm-hmm.
to the show, Dash.
Yeah.
Hi, how are you doing? Thank you guys for having me.
You're doing
Welcome.
just great. Can you tell us, is there any new reporting that you got for the state of Georgia?
No, Georgia's still really still too close to call. They're still calculating the votes. When I last checked, that they were having some of the smaller areas that were coming in, and Georgia probably won't call until tomorrow. I don't think we're going to get a result from Georgia tonight.
So, can you tell us from your working over at the exit polls? Can you tell us what were some of the issues or concerns that you heard from the voters?
Typically, the economy. A lot of people were talking about the jobs, economy, the cost of living, healthcare. A lot of women were really more voting for their rights. I had a lot of Republican women that said they'd never voted, and as a Democrat, but they were voting for Kamala Harris because they believe in a woman's right to choose. So those were like the biggest things on that. That was the biggest thing on the ballot: a woman's right to choose.
Mhm.
Um, the economy tends to be something that I've seen a lot of men saying the economy, the cost of jobs, and the traditional thing that I hear from a lot of black men of color was, "Oh, we did some better under Trump and out here," and I think they're talking about the stimulus check. Why did you just
Oh
laugh?
Lord Jesus! Wait, you know what? I don't
Now,
want to.
I'm trying
I
to be professional.
I understand.
You don't have to be a professional, Dash. We all brothers on the show. Go on,
I'm trying to be professional, and you just gonna bring it down. Well,
we gonna
Charles,
take it there, Dash. This the black version of CNN.
okay, I really think that. Well, let me give a little context of what I've done for the last 3 months. I've worked with BMI, Black Male Engagement, and that involved canvassing and involved mobilizing people to go out to vote here in Georgia. And it allowed me to have individuals who were voting for Trump. And I want to choose my words very correctly, not to insult anyone. Most of the men who were for Trump were men that made a couple of dollars in their lifetime, and they felt that he would improve their standing in the community, and he would also improve the amount of money that they had, that he would protect them. That's what I gathered. That's what my census was. One guy was like, "Oh, we did good under Trump. We did good under Trump." Yeah, because when we was with Trump, and I'm sitting there like, what did he do? What do you know he did? So part of my disarming them was always to ask, I said, give me one thing that Trump did that benefited you, that you could say because of Trump, X, ABC was done, and I was able to do this. Because I can give you 5 things that Biden did to your one thing, and none of them never could do that. The other people that were voting for Trump, they kind of look like they were on the spectrum. And I'll leave that up in your head for you to think about.
Right.
I said, Trump, make sure y'all mark Trump. I said, sir, it's all right. You're not the first person of color I heard that said they're voting for Trump. I have it down right here. You're voting for Trump. What's your issue? Oh, I have. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, those are the two people I encountered, and a few women that had LGBTQ problems. So yeah.
Oh wow. So what this I mean, I want to get a consensus on this because when I actually had the opportunity to speak to one of these people, one of these black men for Trump, and I was so floored that I was actually speechless because I could not believe the things I was hearing. Because as Dash was saying, I was trying to find out exactly what is it that makes you want to vote for Trump. If any of you have actually run across any of these people or any individual that supposedly, quote unquote, was voting for Trump for a reason that they couldn't explain, can you tell me what was that experience like for you?
Frustrating. So I had a discussion with a brother in a barbershop, and I would suppose he was in his 30s. And I asked him who he was voting for, and he said Trump. And I asked why. And he started listing the various talking points that Trumpers usually list.
Yep.
And the bottom line is, as I was kind of assessing him and his perspective, it occurred to me that there was some serious misogyny on his part. It wasn't so much that he was gung ho for Trump per se, is that he was down on Harris. And the more I would kind of probe and ask, I determined that in essence, he had a problem with the female president, and specifically, he had a problem with a woman of color. And I have to ask myself, as a mental health clinician, what's some baggage perhaps that he's carrying right now that has shaped how he sees this race, right?
Yes.
Because, we talk about misogyny within white men, but it's also present within black men. And there are a number of black men who may not have voted for Harris simply because she's a female.
So I want to chime in right there. The Quinn PU put up a poll basically showing how many single households they were in America and how many of those, and I don't have the numbers, and I apologize, should have had the numbers in front of me, and I wanted to see how many single households were in America and how many of them were by women. By far, it's a high percentage. So it's no secret that women can run this country, because the first time something happened, you don't run the daddy, you run the and single women household have raised some really good men. So you're not only discrediting her, you're discrediting your mother, your grandmother, and the ones that came before them.
I just, like with Pastor Bowman, I mean, I have it gave me the sense that these are men that's got issues with women, and it's got to be something close, personal, and very intimate, because there is no way that you could just look at this woman, especially if you're a black man, because as Dash mentioned, you got a mother, you got sisters, you got aunts, you got cousins. So if you're looking at this woman this way, what is it that has transpired in your life so bad that you have to hate this woman for no reason, and you do these things to discredit her, which comes from a misogynistic egomaniac that's actually a rapist and all these other things, but you're supporting that. But then come back and say, no, I don't like this, but you vote for him anyway. And so it goes to when I look at Le'Veon Bell and Antonio that used to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. When they was at that Trump rally, and Le'Veon Bell is consistently being on X with these nasty posts alluding to this woman. But he can't explain why he's doing that. But he says if Kamala Harris wins, this was just today. If Kamala wins, he's leaving the country. I mean, I really want to know, why do some of you guys think that these black men are hating this woman that bad?
Well, I would chime in and say, again, as Pastor Bowman said, and I think I heard Dash say, you really have to look at how they were raised. If you're raised in a very matriarchal, male-dominant family or household, and you see your dad treat your mama a certain way, or your dad doesn't do this towards your sisters, then you get a mindset of the place that women are supposed to be. And there are some men and some women who do not see a woman in the seat of power in the United States because it's never been done. But if you go beyond the United States, women have been in charge of countries. It's a part of their makeup. I mean, Mexico, I think, has a woman, a president. Look right over there in England. The Queen been in charge forever till she died. So it's we become so limited in our knowledge because we are afraid of what is a true partnership. And this even goes down to the church. If we want to be real, we still fighting with women pastors and women preaching and all of this kind of stuff. And they forget there's that scripture in Acts that says, In the last days, I will pour out my spirit on all
All
flesh.
flesh.
You know,
Yeah.
it didn't say on all male flesh, but that's because you don't
Yes.
understand that the Bible was written from a matriarchal perspective, because women were not seen as equal in the time that the Bible was written. So it's like
Mhm.
you have to teach, and if it's not taught properly, then it's skewed, and when it's skewed, then you get the answers that you get when you go in certain barbershops.
Yeah. Just to add to that perspective, I'll give you a little story. This is my 37th year of being married. Um, so when we first got married, again on this whole what role, who does what, I was to manage the budget, and we both put our money together in that budget. Well, I wasn't too successful in managing the budget. And so now we came to a conclusion that even though I was a CEO, she would be the chief financial officer and help with the making of those decisions. And I bring that out because many of the women in our lives are chief financial officers. They run the whole house. They manage all the children. They manage schedules. They make decisions. And when all those presidents, Carter and some of the others, had issues, who they turn to? They're
Joe
the
Biden.
women in their lives.
Right.
Mhm.
And so this, they are our partners. They have wisdom that God has given them. In fact, they have more intuition than men have often, to have deeper insights to things that we consider frivolous. So I think we miss out on the gifts and talents of women when we want to relegate them to places where they can't be. They can't be president. That also stems in corporate America, where a lot of the CEOs, there are very few women who are CEOs of American corporations. And when they get there, they get so beat up that a lot of them step down from those roles because the same activity or decision that a person that's not of color would make is treated differently for a woman of color in those positions. But they can lead. They lead in many different ways, even in preaching the word and instruction there as well. So, I think we're, in our communities, we need to do a better job of the valuing women within our communities.
Okay, so I like to give actual stats, and these are not things that I come up with. So I went back to the sources that I originally spoke about. Statista and the U.S. Census data. Currently, we have 1.9 million children being raised by a woman, and that was based on the 2023 census report. And Statista pulled their data from some basic sources. I can't dig that deep. And you have roughly 3.5 men being raised. 3.5 children being raised by men, and this number is up 60% since the last Census Bureau. These are not numbers that I made up. So these kids are going to come out flawed because they were raised by a woman. What you're basically saying to me is, and in my time frame, we had less male principals than we had more female principals. So what you're basically saying to me is that a woman is incapable of leading in any type of leadership. It's just somebody has a little something to mine, or
I don't know
yeah, like a vacuum cleaner.
who's washing the dishes.
So, okay, because what you're basically saying to me is that a woman is incapable of leading, and it's a smack in the face to your parents. It's a smack in the face to any woman that means something to you in your life. Let alone that this man has been convicted of rape. Let
Mm-hmm.
alone that this man has basically talked about how he can defile a woman's by the you know what. He said these things. And whenever
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking to Trumpers, my first thing is to say, nothing I say, because I learned that I had to start having facts, because they don't come with facts. They come with shit they read off the internet and stuff that come out flying out their mouth. This is what he said. He was found guilty by a juror of his peers. We didn't just find him guilty to say he's guilty. Two juries found him guilty.
Mm-hmm.
He did these things. Okay, somebody getting a car wash? So those are always things that I like to point out. when coming in contact with his clan, um, they don't like facts and they don't like truth. They're quick to say something skewed or something made up, or we're just saying that because it's him. No, we didn't do the Census Bureau because we knew he was coming. This is information we've been doing for 30 something decades.
Right.
Census Bureau was here when slavery was here. So
Yeah.
when talking to those people, you have to have facts, and it anchors them. But you have to arm yourself with facts. Like when you go in the lines, then you got to bring the Bible with you. You got to bring the facts with your pastor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you know, the other thing to add to that is that we, for those of us who really understand what the 8 years under Obama did to this country, it is no reason it is not surprising that we're going through this now, because Trump ran on the basis that he was going to undo everything that Obama did, including discredit Obama.
Yes.
And you had a whole lot of those good old boys that didn't understand that, you know, we had evolved to the point where we could have a black president. And so those same heads, although they were calmed, you know, or simmering, I should say, after the 2020 election, when Kamala came up, all it did was raise those heads even more. Because now, how in the are we going to let not only a black woman,
Right.
but a black person, but a black woman
Right.
be president of the United States? That's why I've always said it. I am, but I'm not so concerned about who wins. And if everything goes the way it's looking, you know, Kamala Harris should win. But what happens tomorrow? What happens a week from now when all the votes come in and it's solidified? What are we prepared for the backlash of America and these white old boys, Proud Boys and the like, popping their heads up?
You know, Pastor, you
We
bring out
we
an
we
excellent
actually
point in that every major period of black progress is followed by a period of white resistance. So, for instance, you had the Reconstruction era after slavery, where many men of color were being placed in political roles. That was followed up by the KKK rising and lynching occurring. So, what happened after Obama should not surprise us, because, you know, while history doesn't repeat itself, it does rhyme.
Are you guys hearing it? What is that sound?
I've been wondering. I was so
I
somebody
muted
washing dishes.
I
I have no
muted
idea.
myself to see if it was coming from someplace.
Okay, well let me mute. Let's everybody try muting at one time and see.
Pastor Bowman, you got the floor. We're all going to mute and see if we can localize the sound.
All right. Perhaps that was the sound of Kamala sweeping all of the battleground states. I don't know. At least I pray so.
It's gone now.
Okay. Yeah. So, like I was saying before, throughout history, American history, every period of black progress is followed up with a period of white resistance or a white lash, right? And it all started with Trump forwarding the birther myth with regard to President Obama. And like you said earlier, Pastor, it's all been focused on undoing everything that President Obama did, most notably Obamacare, or the Affordable Care Act, right? And he was asked a question in the debate, you know, what's your plan? And he's like, I just have concepts of a plan. So he really doesn't care. The only thing he cares about is undoing what anyone else did so that he could look better.
Yeah. And staying out of jail, let us not forget.
Right.
this is all a ploy. I mean, I always ask, what is his actual plan? I mean, you can't hear any of his rallies and hear that this is what I'm going to do for the economy, except for tariffs. And everybody knows that went through school of any kind that tariffs did not help people. You know, I mean, all you had to do is go to your first economic class in any school, and they will tell you what tariffs do. But his border plan didn't work, you know, but he wanted to blame, you know, Biden for the numbers swelling and things like that. But you didn't do what you said you were going to do. And everything that he said in all of his campaigns was pointing at what people didn't do, and none of it was saying, "Here's what I've done." You botched COVID, you know, and Obama gave you a playbook on how to deal with it, and because it had Obama on it, you were like, "I ain't gonna use it." But go to the store and buy some Clorox and drink some Clorox, and you'll be okay.
Yep.
You know, it's like,
oh my God.
how can you not remember these things that were said and then vote for a man that ain't told you what he gonna do?
So,
Except
that
you want to just get rid of everything that Obama did.
Okay, what was that? Dash just got a report.
71% of the votes are in for Fulton County, and DeKalb County I'm working now. So 71% of the votes went to Kamala Harris in Fulton County.
Yep.
Okay.
So she won a lot. To add to it, someone said earlier, and I didn't want to interrupt because he was on a good roll. If this election don't go the way we want it to go, we're going to take our medicine and go to bed. And you know, we talked about this the other night.
Yeah.
But they're not going to take their medicine. So what I've asked a lot of same people, what does civil war look like in 2024 and 2025?
Come on now.
Because we already know it's more of them outnumber us with guns. We already know there's lobby that's going to be at play. And we're in the South, and we don't have a Democratic governor until we get to North Carolina. So do the governors, because the National Guard, yes, they respect the pleasure of the President of the United States, but they serve at the pleasure of the governor.
That's right.
And if something don't go in their favor and they feel they want to, you know, I don't know. In a
Go
place
get
like
your
what
BB
Ted
gun.
Cruz is in charge. Yeah, in a place what I got the real thing over here. In a place what Ted Cruz is, a place like what the governor DeSantis down there, a place where, like in Texas over there with the little guy in the wheelchair. Yeah, the shit
Wheelchair Abbott.
Yeah, Abbott. Yeah, King Abbott, as I call him. I didn't even know you can run as many times as you want in Texas.
Yeah.
I was like, when is he gonna get his ass out of there? Then he gonna get.
Yeah.
They like.
I think this next time is gonna be it. If Allred gets the Senate, if Allred gets the Senate, Abbott's days are numbered.
Oh,
I predict that.
You know, I can't go on apostasy with them. I just know that Texas within itself. I know during the Beto area, they said that Stacey almost turned Texas. It's a big state. Texas could be a country by itself. It takes a lot of work to turn Texas blue.
Yes.
And Houston and Dallas can't do it by itself.
Yes.
So what I do want to talk about with some of the key issues here in Georgia and some of the key issues, because we're working to turn Georgia totally blue. And what some of the key issues here was for Stacey Abrams. You have people in rural, small country towns who are of brown and black who feel that their voices are not being heard. And those are the voices technically Kamala had to reach. Yes, she won. She would win Savannah. She would win Macon. She would win Fulton County, DeKalb, and possibly Cobb, in places where it's a high number of Caucasian, a high number of blacks, and a high number of brown people and people, you know.
Of the progressive nature.
Yes, thank you. But when you go into the Forsyth counties and you go into the up Alpharetta, Langensville, and stuff like that, any candidate coming into Georgia have to start taking those people's voices serious and start venturing more into those territories and saying, "Hey, I'm here." Because a lot of black people joined Stacey Abrams told me specifically, "Oh, I didn't vote for her because I didn't feel like she cared about us. She never came, or she never voiced her opinion." So that plays into the local election. It plays into the national election because if they're not voting for the state representative, they're not voting for her as well. So I don't know how this is going to end out in the small rural country areas. So I'm looking to see where this goes.
And that's the same issue in Texas.
Hmm.
It's just on a bigger scale because we're so big. It's those rural, middle. I'm looking at the state. It's the rural area that's ruby red, and there's some counties that haven't really been counted yet. But yeah, we have that. Beto had that problem, but
Hmm.
I think the abortion issue for Texas is really going to swing it in the governor's race because we've had so many women die as a result of
Mm.
the state abortion ban, which both Cruz and Abbott endorsed. So I
Hmm.
think that's
And
going
we
to
had one
play out.
person die here in Georgia.
Say that
You had a
again.
lady who died here. You had a lady who died here in Georgia, a young lady. She went to North Carolina and missed her appointment, but because she missed the appointment, she had to take the contraceptive, the drink, the cocktail.
Hmm.
And after she took the cocktail, came back here to Georgia, got to her got home, she started having some problems. They brought her to the hospital, and the hospital wouldn't perform any procedures based on the Georgia law. And when they finally decided to perform the procedure on her, it was too late, and she died.
Yep.
Um, ben, um, Ben, and some of the other lawyers were on TV talking about it earlier this last week.
Hmm. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Uh,
are there any new updates in Pennsylvania, Dr. Jones?
nope.
Hmm. I found out something this morning that shocked me. I didn't know states like Alabama don't have early voting. I
Oh
thought
no,
everybody had
they
early voting.
changed that. They changed that after 2020 election. It was
Oh,
I think it's Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. And I'm not sure if it's Tennessee or not, but I know that those three are actually in that little clique of doing that because they're repressing the vote, and they're gonna make all these people come out on election day and vote, cause chaos and disorder, and then
Hmm.
make nobody want to vote.
Yep. Yeah. It's crazy. We're living in some crazy times.
Indeed.
It is
one group of people.
51-48 in Pennsylvania with Trump up 51-48. But that's with 56% reported.
Yeah, the main precincts ain't got in yet,
Right.
and when they get in, watch the screen because as I remember, Dr. Jones, you were saying something this morning about they was doing something with the folk that wanted to mail in the votes.
You're on mute, Doc.
Some of the ballots had the people put their birth date on it rather than the actual date. And others may not have been signed. So they took it to the judge, one of the judges in the state, and he said that those could still go through, but now it's an additional process that might take until Friday for all those ballots to be counted. But it's still possible that enough ballots have come in for them to call Pennsylvania within the next couple of days. But I'm not optimistic that they'll have it done by tomorrow. It would be amazing if it was done.
Yeah.
But right now it's at 58%, and Trump is ahead
Hmm.
right now. But I think that's definitely going to change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chester's at 11%. Delaware is at 24%. Montgomery's at 37%. Bucks is 34%. And Lehigh, I guess it is. Lehigh
Yeah, Lehigh.
is at 40%. And they got all of those colored blue for Pennsylvania. And Dauphin is 44%. Cambria is 20%, and she's up 50 to 49. And Allegheny is 74%. She's up 60 to 38. So the black vote hasn't come in yet.
Yeah, so they don't have Philadelphia. They don't have Pittsburgh, Harrisburg. Those are all the places.
Yeah, Philly is at 50%.
Okay.
But she's up 77 to 21.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's the other one you said, Dr. Joe?
Pittsburgh and Harrisburg.
Pittsburgh.
I got some more news as well.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Rockdale County is at 75.9%. Clayton County is up 69%. And Douglasville is up 70%. And these are all margins that are higher when Biden won. And these are all margins also where a lot of black people are moving to.
Yes, I know. I live in Douglasville, in Douglas County. And I know that she's going to win Douglas County because, the people were massively voting out here. I mean, massively.
And, we canvassed really hard in Douglas County, actually.
Really?
Douglas has some really property. A lot of the places we canvassed were areas because I'm the second layer of the cake. I'm not in the top layer. I don't know some of their reasons why they sent us to certain areas, but based on the layer I gathered and doing what I was doing, they had us canvassing areas where the vote wasn't as strong. And we went a lot to like in that area above Jonesboro, and some of those areas down in Fayette County, back up in there, and some of those areas. And we canvassed real hard. Sometimes like every other day, same neighborhood. Yeah. So canvassing plays a big part. Do you know where your polling location is? Can we do anything to assist you in finding your location? What are some of your issues?
Well,
we had to.
That's one thing about being out here in Douglas County is that pretty much you have to be lucky. Like where I am, my actual polling place is not even 5 minutes from my house. The early voting place is right next to my house and the fire station.
Yeah.
So I could actually walk there.
Yeah. That's how it was for me too for early voting.
Yeah.
We have at our church on Sunday, we had 2 visitors from Kentucky to come to encourage. I mean, our pastor's been telling people to vote since January, but they came in, gave a wonderful presentation explaining, the power of the vote and how we need to be engaged as a community and so forth. And it was really definitely appreciated. The members were excited, got them more excited to know that they would come from out of town to share that. So the ground game was definitely there.
Dash, did you see a lot of Trump canvassers when you were out there?
I avoided them. Some of my friends did. I was actually off the job working for the Trump campaign, and some of my friends did jump ship and go over there and work for them. Not really. It's because I think their theory is only canvassing. I think both parties' theory is only canvassing the areas that benefit you. And I didn't see Trump signs and a lot of Trump signs in the neighborhoods we were canvassing at either.
Okay.
Now, when they sent one of my colleagues to Kennesaw, he did come back early that day.
That's Trump. That's Trump country.
That's Trump country. He came back real early.
That's good. Look, that's going way up 575.
Yeah, that's
You
going up
know,
the ones. Yeah.
Ooh.
mm-mm.
I said, what she
Is that
going
one of them
back so early?
is that one of them sundown towns?
Well,
Yeah,
primarily, look, they got it's in the
primarily.
laws up there for the city of Kennesaw that you must have a gun in your house.
Yeah.
Now, just imagine what that means.
Wow. Wow.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
No.
it's its own little unique place.
Yep.
It's up a ways. Everything
Mhm.
up there, and it believe my friends always make fun to me. I like living places like that. I know because you're not coming visit me.
Mm-mm.
I know that when I get back home, everything's gonna be there. I know that the streets are gonna be cleaned a certain way and everything's gonna be neat and stuff. Unfortunately, I like living in those type of areas. I used to live in Cobb County in a particular area, and I was working for U-Haul at the time, and I used to have to be to work for 6 in the morning. So 6 in the morning in Atlanta, leaving my house at 5, it's pitch black dark. So I
Mhm.
leave and I'm get to work and I'm going to work nothing. I come back home because I was an operations manager. I would come home in the evening at 6 at night. Christmas lights, poinsettias, trees, everything.
Yeah.
I said, show me where y'all spend my tax money at. I mean, the whole thing looked like Walt Disney. They had
Mm.
decorated the poles, everything. You don't get that in the city.
Yeah.
No, you don't get that in Fulton County.
No.
You lucky
No.
in Fulton
No,
County put a wreath. No,
you might get
you
that
don't get that in
taken.
Fulton County.
Is there any update on Wisconsin and Michigan?
I think
Wis-
that what's
Wisconsin
their
is
local numbers?
50 to 48.6 in favor of Trump, but only 56 reported, 56%.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan is 49.9 to 48.4.
Hmm.
Trump is up with only 24%
Hmm.
represented. Um,
So, question while we're on Michigan.
uh-huh.
Why is she being held for the sins of Joe Biden? I did have a little problem
Mm.
at how she answered some questions when she was on The View and did interviews. But out of all 40 something presidents, y'all never asked them these questions.
Because she's a
She's
woman
the
and she's
vice
black.
president.
Yep. That's the
She's the
only
vice
reason why.
president of the United States. What I gathered from this, when I was in school, in high school, junior high school, they did social studies and we had a particular area where we talked about the civil service and United States government and the branches and how many branches were there and what their powers were and what's the presidential powers. So now you're making me think you guys no longer teach this in school because you want the president can do everything, that he
Mm.
has autonomy to make laws and decisions works. And he didn't have a majority in but one body of government, and the other body played offense and defense against each other. So that they didn't do anything. She's the vice president of the United States. Her job is to assist where he needs her.
Right.
If he asks her for her opinion and he values her opinion, he will do so. They have been two vice presidents that I know of: Pence, Biden, and
Cheney.
Cheney. Thank you. I love
Mhm.
when I'm working with a group of people. Those were the only vice presidents that they gave autonomy to do things and make a decision and be seen. Most presidents up until them didn't want their vice president. Um, they sent Gore around the country on peace. They didn't
Right.
have Gore here in the United States in front of us. We hardly ever saw Al Gore. And,
Right.
and and when Bush was the vice president for Reagan, we didn't see him eat. Well, y'all didn't see
Hmm.
him. I'm not that old. But my point is,
Yeah.
you have to know the job and what it entails. Oh, she's the border czar. She wasn't no border czar.
Right.
Why
Right.
do y'all make these lies up? And what pissed me off, the news repeat these lies.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. Yes.
Meanwhile, this man has been convicted 90 something goddamn indicted 90 something times, convicted maybe 5 times, and facing furthermore. Not only that, he's colluded with Russia. And the thing that y'all say he gave y'all money, he did so much for y'all. He sent supplies and masks over to Russia.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't even have a stockpile here in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't talk about this.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The news is one-sided in what they report.
This is what I say about mainstream media, is that when you listen to mainstream media, you got to make sure you know how to listen.
And this is not just Fox News.
Right.
This
No.
is your CNN, your
CNN.
ABC,
Yeah.
your CBS, and all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Charlemagne called Anderson Cooper ass out on the carpet, oh no,
Right.
I don't. Yes, you have.
Yeah.
Y'all don't call out. Y'all don't hold his feet to the fire like you've held other people's feet to the fire in the past. He's not held to the same standards. He get up there. I don't ever want to hear Macho Man again. I don't ever want to hear what's the other
YMCA.
one?
YMCA.
I already didn't like the I'm proud to be an American.
Oh yeah.
I don't ever want to hear them goddamn songs again.
Oh,
But how do you really feel, Dash?
They played that
How do you
song
really feel?
so much when I was in boot camp.
Oh,
Listen,
Yeah.
I already thought they were awful songs already.
right. Exactly.
He went to have a town hall, and in the town hall, he started playing all these whitewash popular white people ballads.
Yep.
And I was like, weren't you supposed to ask questions? Oh, he's with his usual bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes off script. He goes off script, and he's just off script. And he talk about the enemy from within. He's quoting Hitler now.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Or you know, and the fact that most of his cabinet came out against him, including the vice president, the former vice president. Nobody supports this man, and yet, you know, I was telling my son earlier when he was like, I'm a little nervous. I said, well, we have a right to be nervous, but I'm saying, if we get him, if we get Trump, we it's our fault. It ain't black folks' fault. It's the fault of media and not reporting correctly and not reporting truthfully and not putting the information out there in such a way that it makes sense. Mm-hmm. You know, because he was always given, I won't say he was given an opportunity, but his rallies made it appear that he was popular. And when you got low-minded, low-energy thinking people, then they'll see that and say, oh, well, he's popular. But we've never won any race by the popular vote. It's always been in these 7 battleground states. And one of the things I liked about Harris's campaign is they focused on that. You know, if we get what we get, we good. But we're gonna fight where we're gonna have to fight to win. And I think Trump is just running on the fact that he's white, and and there's more white folks than us, and we so factioned amongst people of color that we don't galvanize our vote to counter the white lash as Pastor Bowman was talking about. Mm-hmm. We should have been spending 4 to 6 years getting ready for this.
Yep.
Because we knew it was coming. We knew after 2020 that this was going to be where it is. And we didn't do anything. And I think, you know, and I say we, I mean the collective we, is that we did not prepare.
I don't think you're. I agree. I know where you're going when you say this, because I watched it happen in Louisiana. Louisiana governor has ties to the but he's the governor. Right. But you have to realize our people are caught up in celebration, not liberation.
Mm.
If you say that a party is going on, especially in Louisiana, they're celebrating. Oh, we ain't worried about that. Now, you have open carry. Now, a woman don't have the right to choose. Now, you have all these anti-LGBTQ bills. Now, if you get convicted of a felon, you're going to jail, and you will serve 90% of your time. He went in saying He was going to lower crime. He's going to do this. His model is nothing. Let's not do anything preemptive. Everything is jail, sentence. There's no recipe that man has in his plan down there for rehabilitation or to help anybody in Louisiana. So that's a really case of what you just said about not being prepared. They knew that they had two terms of a same governor, and to bring it back full circle to where we're at, and I'm bringing it to where Mike Johnson fit into where I'm staying, because I know I'm talking about Louisiana. So when John Bel Edwards took office, he said, okay, we have a high prevalence of HIV. The viral rate is 70% and it's higher than the national average. We have a high rate of people dying with cancer. We have a high rate of diabetes. These are all things that we're struggling in. We're leading the nation in these things. Every time the news come on, Louisiana's number 1, number 3 for these spots. How can I fix this? And a lot of people don't know John Bel Edwards was a Dixiecrat. A Dixiecrat is someone that's still a Republican, but he's a Democrat. Mm-hmm. And that's the majority of all the Democrats in Louisiana. I'm going to go on and expand into access of health care. Okay. Within his 8 years term, all these categories, Louisiana has become textbook how to implement this and how to do this to lower HIV, how to do this to get more people on PrEP, how to treat people with cancer, how to get people to get early screenings. Now, Mike Johnson, which we had a tape, bring it back to our current conversation, we had a tape that was just leaked saying that, our first thing to do is get rid of Obamacare when we get total control of this and when Trump is president. This ain't something I made up. This is what this man went on camera and said.
Right.
Majority of people in the South, which is a right to work state, we don't have health care. They don't pay you. They don't give you health care. So this man is sitting here saying he's going to take your health care.
Right.
Well, so you got to remember now, in these southern states, you got to remember, I'm not sure, but I think it may be one of them that's actually in the exchange, but they all have to pay into the exchange. So the governors are still preventing people from getting health care because they will not go into the pool. So if your tax dollars are paying to go into the pool anyway, but you can't use it, that does not make sense. That's why every state on the other side of the Mason-Dixon that's inside the exchange don't have nearly the cost for healthcare as we do here in the Southeast.
Correct. And you read my article recently that I wrote that I gave you.
Yes.
Those are things. When having conversation with the Trump supporters, those are the conversations I have. Well, how's your diabetes? How do you pay for that? And it becomes, how's your this? How do you pay for that? I got people who've been working in HIV and prevention for years, who've been working in CBOs, what we call nonprofits, for years. You're a Trump supporter? Did you see that his plan, and if it's not his plan, the people who backed him, their plan is to cut these programs.
Yep, cut the aid.
I had my boss for a program that I work for, this lady is down in every category financially because she put so much money into her nonprofit. We get a yearly thing from the government, which is called Ryan White. It funds the government. It funds how we pay for things and how we get paid and whatnot. You said another thing, you voting for Trump. Do you know that they want to take this part B and part A money that we use to pay you, pay me, and pay your mom back? She just rented a new building to expand services. Are you listening?
See,
the men that won't vote for Kamala Harris don't take care of their kids. That woman's getting food stamps. I know for a fact. You just told me they're taking your money out your check because you won't pay child support. But you're for Trump? Go take care of your goddamn kids.
Oof, that right there, that's heart-wrenching though. Because I can't imagine somebody being that ignorant to know that they're voting against their own interests
Right.
for something that they've listened to the talking points on main media. The mainstream media has caused such a big divide in our community. It's even worse than what it was before. I know that we have
People who want to be
vulnerabilities.
smart.
I know we have the vulnerabilities that's there anyway, but they have actually sparked such a divide that you got people either voting for Trump or you got folks that are saying they're just not going to vote at all. Neither of that makes sense. Neither of that makes sense.
Whoa. They just called California.
For Harris.
Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as the polls close, like I figured.
Wow.
There's another update from CNN, and they're projecting that Ted Cruz is going to win re-election. Did you see that, Pastor?
Nope. I'm getting ready to look it up right now.
Oh my God.
Oh, I'm moving to Canada. I got my car packed. I said just in case. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Let me explain something. Don't leave. And this is how I had to break it down to some people this morning who said they were going to become ex-Americans. It's only 4 years. It's only 4 years. Black people ain't never had it easy. We didn't even have it easy under Obama.
So what are they? What is the updated electoral vote count?
I think it's still on local news.
Hold on. They haven't called it on my screen for Ted Cruz on mine. He's up 53-44 over Colin Allred with only 73%. 73% called.
Hello, Dr. Washington. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
We're all great.
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, they haven't called it on this end. So he's up though, 53-44.
We just got the news that California's been called for Harris.
The polls have just closed like 2 minutes ago, and the Secretary of State website hasn't updated, so I don't have any specific numbers right now.
Oh, Michigan is up 51-46 for Harris now.
So Detroit must be falling in.
That's my hometown. I meant to say that earlier. I have a particular interest in Michigan, especially given the way in which Trump disparaged Detroit.
Yeah. Yes. But yeah, they haven't called Ted Cruz over here.
Oh, they haven't? Yeah, I saw that on CNN. Let me double check.
New Mexico is 52-45. Harris, yeah. Oregon.
What about, Arizona and Maricopa County, have they completed everything out there in Arizona, in Phoenix?
Arizona is 49.8% in. It's 49.7 to 49.5 leaning towards Trump.
Okay. So he's 0.02 of a point up.
So
they're calling Wisconsin is 50-48 Trump. Golly.
What's the percentage of the precinct?
60%.
Oh, okay. So is Milwaukee in yet, or is that's the last one they normally send in? And Milwaukee is where you're from, right?
Yes, sir. That's my home.
And so Milwaukee can't be in yet if that's the case.
No, Milwaukee's 52% in. It's 66-31.
Okay.
Harris.
Yeah, so she should get a higher number out of Milwaukee to help her run through that state.
Yeah, hopefully. But there's a lot of pink in Wisconsin right now.
Okay.
Not too many have gone full red yet. And Douglas and Washburn up north hasn't called in yet.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's still possible to pull Wisconsin.
I'm surprised
at Minnesota. Minnesota's in trouble too. Walsh ain't going to pull his own state.
I'm seeing here CNN is reporting as of now 211 electoral votes for Trump and 145 for Harris.
Yeah, I got 179 Harris and 214 Trump.
Okay.
Okay.
And
So,
270 is the magic number.
Yep. But it's 145 still out.
Mhm.
So the Clayton County just came in here in Georgia, and that's another county where she's at 85.4, and he's at 14.2, and is extremely higher than it was during the Biden election.
Okay.
So I think her numbers are much higher than Biden for the entire metro area, because voting is up, and this should how is North Carolina looking?
50-48 Trump.
Okay, what's the percentage?
86.
Okay, so I wonder if Mecklenburg County is in.
Who?
Mecklenburg County. That's in North Carolina. That's Charlotte.
Okay. Mecklenburg. Let's see. I like my little computer here. No. You said Mecklenburg?
Yep, Mecklenburg. That's the largest county in the state of North Carolina.
98%. 98% have been called in already. Kamala's up 65-32.
So what about the Raleigh-Durham area?
Hold on. Hold, please. Who you say? Raleigh?
Raleigh-Durham. RALEIGHDURHAM.
Now, you know I'm part of that illiterate group. I can't read. I just go to the click. I can't read. Okay. You said Raleigh. Let's see. In North Carolina?
Yeah, Raleigh-Durham. That's on the back end going towards Virginia. It backs right up to it.
Oh, Durham. They got it under Durham.
Okay.
Hold on a minute. 80-18 with 99% in already.
Okay.
80.2 to 18.3 Harris.
Okay. So they've got to refresh that. That number's got to be where she's got to be leading, because Mecklenburg County being the largest county in the state of North Carolina and Raleigh-Durham being second to it, if she's winning those two counties by those numbers, that number has got to change. That percentage is off. It hadn't been updated.
Right. My electoral college just went up 179 to 214. Trump still up, but she's got 179 now.
Okay.
So they're coming in.
How is Virginia looking?
Virginia's blue. She's up 50-48.
Oh, wow.
With 74% in.
Yes, that means that Northern Virginia has not reported yet. That's going towards DC. So that means that if she's at that point with that number in, that means that she's going to win Virginia.
Yeah, Fairfax is in. Prince William is in. I mean, not total, but she's up. She's way up in those areas.
Yes. Northern Virginia, the people in Southern Virginia don't like Northern Virginia. It's like Georgia. It's two states.
Interesting.
That's pitiful. In the 21st century, we still doing this. I don't like you from the north. I don't like you from the south.
Yup. It's two states.
Chesterfield is tight, but only 39% has been in, but she's up 49.1 to 48.9.
Okay.
Let's see whatever other blue. Yeah, a lot of these aren't totally in yet.
Yeah.
But where it's blue, she's got good numbers. Stafford, she's neck and neck. Stafford County, 49.4 to 49.1. She's up by 0.3.
Yeah, that borders south and north.
Yep. Prince
What
William.
about what about what did you say Pennsylvania was again?
Hold on. P. Pennsylvania is 5147 Trump.
Okay. How many was and that the major counties still haven't reported though, right? That's Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, and Hershey, not Hershey, but I've got the other, but they haven't reported yet, primarily, right?
Yeah, they're not done.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say Harrisburg.
Harrisburg, that's it. Yes.
Harrisburg. Let's see.
So
In Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
ain't no Harrisburg in Pennsylvania.
Yes, sir. It's over there.
That's the capital. That's the
Yeah.
capital of Pennsylvania.
Yes, Western Pennsylvania. It's over there by Pittsburgh.
Yeah. HARRISBURG. Just for clarity.
Yeah. I look under H. No, I'm in Pennsylvania.
Yes, Harrisburg.
Yes, Harrisburg's the capital.
Unless they didn't change the name, it sure ain't no county called Harrisburg on this computer.
Oh, it's called. Wait a minute. Let me see. It is called something else, but Harrisburg is the main city.
Oh, see,
York.
y'all trying to mess the brother up.
It's called York County. It's York County, but
Oh,
Harrisburg is in it.
See, y'all need to go to the library too. There's York right there. See, y'all trying to get a brother. 45% in. It's 52-46 Trump.
Okay.
But 45% reported.
Okay. So I think our main focal point at this point is Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and North Carolina.
Yep.
Because if there's not total numbers out for Georgia, then that's like Georgia's been slowed down because those percentage that Dash was giving us between Fulton and Clayton County, which is kind of unusual, they're ahead of DeKalb County, which is normally like it's kind of fast, but they're staggering now. Because if you got the numbers for Cobb and Douglas, have they updated anything yet on Dash?
What did you say, Douglas?
Yeah, Cobb and Douglas.
Okay.
Oh, and don't forget Gwinnett, because I haven't heard anybody mention Gwinnett.
Well, Douglas got 89% in. They're at 65-33 Harris. Uh-oh, wait a minute. There's a report.
All mailings that we have will be coming and tabulated this evening. The only thing that will not be are any military or overseas ballots, which they have enough an extra week to return their ballots, and they'll be scanned in later.
Oh, that's Pittsburgh. They're going to be counting the early votes.
Oh,
wow.
Okay.
They said they should have those done by tonight.
Oh,
Okay.
man.
That's going to be a big number.
Yes, it is. That's going to be huge.
Because up to this point, they haven't has any of, I don't know, I'm asking, any other states counted the early voting yet?
Dash, have they counted early vote here?
No, they haven't. We won't get that till tomorrow.
Okay.
They
So this is
started.
just voting
I
from
think they
today.
started. Yes.
Okay.
Ooh, so you know what? That is going to be crazy if we got to wait overnight because now
Yeah, yeah.
you know that this is going that this is already on pace for an ugly ending.
Yep.
Yes.
That's what that means.
Yep.
Because Trump's going to
Because
say he was ahead, and then suddenly the
he
next
Mhm.
day,
loses.
All of
he's,
a sudden.
Yeah,
you know,
Yep.
because I
that's
I
what
know
we did.
here in Georgia, here in the Metro Atlanta area, we had real high early vote turnout,
Everybody did.
and the numbers were huge.
Yep.
Well, how come they're calling certain states when those ballots aren't in?
I don't know. That's
I
a good
don't.
question.
Yeah. That's a very good question.
so I don't know if you heard about what was going on here in California, but we have had some instances of arson for the mail-in voting
Oh yeah, yeah, I heard
boxes.
about that.
Uh-huh.
So they're trying to
Ooh.
figure out how to find out whose ballots were destroyed and how to get them reissued and counted. So that might account for us not getting our final numbers for a while.
Well, I think this didn't uh Pastor Devin, didn't you say that they already called California for
Yep.
Harris?
I'm looking at it right now, and it's only
CNN.
3% of the vote is in,
Right.
and
Yeah.
she was up 56-41, and they called it. See, this is going to be a mess.
So
Because I'm
she
looking at
was
California,
called,
almost 3/4 of your state hasn't even reported.
but she was called even before the polls closed, like right
Yep,
at 8 o'clock. They had already
called
called
it.
her.
Huh.
Oh,
So I'm not sure. Maybe that means that that was the projection.
Yeah.
his
But
projection, yeah.
yeah, there's only 4%, and she's up 64-33, but there's only 4%.
Yeah. I got 56-41, but okay.
Dr. Washington, have you heard any of those other two states I mentioned in our talk yesterday? What about Washington State and Oregon? Have they reported anything yet?
Let's see.
Washington, they called Washington.
They did.
Yep, for Kamala 59-38.
Okay. And what about Oregon?
Oregon is 55-42, but they haven't called it.
Okay.
But it's still at 4% reported. So
They
Where
called
for
Idaho for
Oregon?
Trump.
No, they called
Washington,
Oregon for Kamala. I mean for Harris. You got,
Washington only has 4% reported so
I
far.
got 47%.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
47.7.
Okay. I
59.
think
Yeah, 59-38.
yes, those are the percentages, but there's only 4% of the votes reported. The polls just closed just 20 minutes ago.
Pastor
So we'll
Bowman,
just
I'm sorry.
keep an eye.
Pastor Bowman, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us how are the religious leaders in Kentucky influencing voter opinions?
Huh. Well, I would say that white evangelical pastors and leaders are, in essence,
Oh my God.
integrating Trump talking points into their sermons on Sunday.
Wow.
You know, there's a strong Christian nationalist contingent here in Kentucky where, you know, they conflate conservative theology with conservative politics so that you can barely tell the difference. So, yeah, I would say that a number of the white evangelical pastors in this state are very much either subtly or directly holding up Trump in such a way that they're encouraging their people to to vote for him, because white evangelicals, over 80% of them historically have supported Trump. So that's nothing new. But yeah, that's a big element here in this state.
Dr. Jones, how are educational institutions in Pennsylvania engaging with this election?
Well, a lot of the institutions, I'm looking at mine specifically, have now found a way to have voting on campus. So the students won't have to go off campus. They can actually vote on campus. And I think that because of that, we had lines all day today of students going in to vote. And I know that in the past, it was there was kind of a strategy not to have those things on the campuses because they felt that the college students would vote more in the liberal direction than in the conservative direction. So I'm glad to see some progress from that perspective that of making it more accessible.
Dash, what are the key issues for the LGBTQ community in Georgia this election?
Here, healthcare and making sure that they have access to preventive care. Same, and pretty much just healthcare, reproduction, preventive care, and yeah, it's basically I want to keep it around healthcare. The other stuff is more of a local state issue, but healthcare is the main thing that they're concerned about because PrEP for anybody, and it's not just really just an LGBTQ it's not just an acronym issue. It's an issue that affects anyone that's not in a relationship, a monogamous relationship. If you're a single man or a single woman and you have multiple partners, you should be considering PrEP. Condoms are 95% effective, and as well as this helps with that. And it's a rise in Black women over 40. It's a rise in older gentlemen as well. A lot of people, this is a gay disease, but this disease doesn't discriminate by color, race, or financial background. The only thing is we know that more well-off people have access to insurance, and that insurance covers healthcare. Covers PrEP. But currently, we're funded through a program that Joseph Biden just fully funded, and we know when he gets in office, if he gets into office, he want to cut that. Millions and millions and millions of America and millions of LGBTQ plus people who will be affected by this, and that disease kills over time.
Dr. Washington, what are the major educational issues being discussed in California?
Well, some of the issues that were on the ballot here in California, besides the national Roe versus Wade reinstatement, it was things like affordable housing, raising the minimum wage, and things like rent control. So those were the voted on besides the presidency this year.
Pastor Miller. I'm sorry, Dr. Washington. Go ahead.
I was just going to give an update. 9% of the votes counted. Kamala is up with 57% of the votes, and Donald Trump with 40%. We're still at just 9% or 10% of the votes counted so far.
Pastor Miller, how is the faith community in Texas responding to this election?
We can't respond because we got too many people dropping out of their pulpits during the moral failure. Sorry, we can't answer that question right now. We got more pressing issues. But in all seriousness, we are more probably evangelical than Kentucky, and nationalism is our middle name, and you got to understand, I'm not from here, so I'm highly critical of Texas. And to hear my wife say it, she's trying to figure out why I moved here in the first place. But anyway, no, we're very, very Republican here in Texas. Even some of the black churches um, can sometimes be conservative. In the Church of Christ denomination, in the some of the more conservative Baptist churches, I've found that they are still, they may not say they're for Trump, but they're very for Republican views. That's why our state house has been ruby red for I don't know how long, long before I got here. And so, like we said before, the national has a say, but it's the state house that really has a say. And a lot of things that are going on here really come out of the state house. It really doesn't have a lot to do with what's coming down from the federal government. I mean, anytime the governor can go up against the federal government because of the border issue, you can kind of see where we're at. We already got people talking about seceding from the United States still in 2020, in 21st century. They talking about seceding from the United States and being its own country because we're the largest landmass in the United States, and our economy is almost rivals the national as far as money. So it's Texas is crazy. Let's just say that. And no offense to people that live here, but it's crazy. It's crazy. Very conservative, very territorial, very pull yourself by your own bootstraps, and we're not going to give you the straps or the boots, but you're going to pull yourself up by them. So it's unfortunate, and the African American community is very fragmented. In Dallas County, of course, but you got a mayor who was Democrat and then flipped and went Republican, and we still can't figure out why he did it, except for if he's getting paid. So it's crazy, but we still got Beto still wandering around here, and we thank God for Jasmine Crockett. That's all. All of us here thank God for Jasmine.
We all love Jasmine. I love her.
She's representing quite well. So. Oh, she can come up with the slogan now. Look out. Yeah, so that's kind of where we are.
Okay.
And to add the context, his age is, I went to TSU. Texas is just like Louisiana. Because I say I'm a Democrat. Don't think Southern states, particularly Georgia and Alabama, Mississippi, and Texas, and I guess I could say all Southern states that's down here in this bottom belt. They identify, the South was the battle was between the South and the North.
Right.
The views are not democratic like the party wanted to be. Yes, I'm a Democrat, but no, I'm not for all the stuff y'all for. I don't support all these gay rights that y'all support. I don't support all this woman's right to choose. Because particularly in Louisiana, they're Catholic. So that's a whole nother discussion.
Well, see, so you know what? No puns intended, for the two pastors here. Okay, no puns intended.
We good.
How in the hell can Catholicism say anything when they raping the altar boys? And you got the Pope that's overlooking all of this, ain't doing nothing about it.
You want the short answer or the long one?
They've been very supportive of Kamala lately. I don't have to take that stand on the Catholics. I think it's more of the evangelical and the Mormons.
Oh Lord!
I call them the evil people. Is it just me, Pastor? You think Kamala should have took the Southern? It's a word we used to have back in the day. You think she should have took the Chitlin Circuit route and leaned on the churches more earlier on in the campaign? Or you think she did it at the right time? Because I seen she was with Drew Shears and them this past Sunday, and the week before that she was here with Jamal Bryant. Do you think she waited?
Yeah.
Mm.
I don't think she went after the major denomination. She waited on the major denominations too late. Jamal Harrison Bryant is not a denomination.
Mm.
Yes.
She should have went
But
after
look,
the president
he's
of the
just an example.
national. Yeah, she should have went after the president of the National Baptist Convention.
Right.
They just got a new president this year. She went after J. Drew, Bishop Sheard for the Church of God in Christ. She should have went after Walker with the Full Gospel Baptist Fellowship. Those are the folks you talk to in our community.
And
Because
AME.
Yes.
AME.
AME, yes,
Yeah.
AME.
Mhm.
Those are the ones she should have been catering.
What is it? Southern leadership as well, right?
No,
Isn't one
You're talking about the Southern Christian Leadership Conference?
Southern Leadership Conference? Hmm.
they're not.
That's not a
I haven't heard a lot
denomination.
from them. I'm sorry, Pastor.
Okay.
Pastor Bowman, you were speaking. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just saying that the Southern Christian Leadership Conference is not a denomination, but it's a collaborative piece involving different churches.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Pastor. So it's like one of my things I'm happy for, and I speak good for, but when they asked her, well, how do you agree? She said it recently what she would do. She should have said it from the beginning. Hey, those are Joe. It was simple. Hey, those are Joe Biden's views. He's the president of the United States, and as his vice president, I am obligated to support his administration. But in my administration, we may do some things differently. I would have expected if she would have got there and said, "Hey, we're two different people and we have two different views. We may not agree on everything, but I work for him. But when I'm president of the United States, this direction." And I think that there was a large group of people who really wanted her to say that she didn't say that. And I'm hoping that don't hurt her.
Yeah.
Well, I think from a political perspective, that would have been her disassociating herself from the administration that she's been a part of for these past 4 years. There's no way you can work together and then separate in the same place. That's being two people.
No,
That's being two people. If she had said that, if she had done that, believe me, they would have tore her all out the front.
Hear me out. In a normal election, you would be correct. We're not in normal times anymore. Because when we did these exit polls today, that was some of the things that came up. Certain things that I don't feel like you had the liberty and the option in something that's so at the clinch, because she for all intents purposes, she should not be trailing, tie, or anywhere with him. This man has been convicted 98 times. I mean, he's been convicted 5 times, been charged 98 times, and he's faced multiple charges: espionage, tampering with records, giving shit to foreign entities, and everything. She should be beating him by a landslide. So, with that being said and done, this is not a traditional election, and those were some of the things that I call them out on. It's not going to help today. It's not going to help tomorrow.
But I think that's because of that. I think there's so many things that are not traditional in this election cycle that when I say we, I mean the collective, we didn't know what to do. I mean, how can you have someone run for office that can't vote? I mean, he's a convicted felon. Technically, a felon can't vote in this country.
Not supposedly.
Thank you.
So there were so many, converging issues that came up in this election. I think we were all caught off guard. Because in a normal cycle, if we would have did everything normally, I don't think Trump would even be on the ballot because he's up against the insurrection of January 6th. And that hasn't been tried yet. So until it's tried, he shouldn't be able to run because he's implicated. You
Yep.
know, there's a lot of things. You know, we've never been in a election where the sitting president had to step aside and give it to the vice president. We've never been there before. So a lot of things that were traditional are not traditional, and a lot of people wanted to go with the non-traditional part, but all the systems are still traditional. You know, so it's really going to have. I think what we learned from this election cycle is we're going to really go back and revisit a lot of the laws that we have that govern our electorate, including the electoral college, because it should not be that 7 states determine the outcome of the United States.
Mm-hmm. I
Really,
agree with
we
that
shouldn't even have the
500%.
electoral college, to be
That's what I'm saying.
honest about it. Yeah.
We just got 2 new state guys. No, New Mexico and Oregon just came over to Kamala Harris. So now
Okay.
she's at 190, 192 to Trump's
230.
230. Yeah.
Yep.
I wanted to make sure. I don't think.
Yeah, I got that too.
Yes. 100%. Let's talk a little bit about the electoral college and why it's the way. Because I had that discussion today with people. That's Oriole College. Well, you know, this was created well back when the country was formed, and the reason electoral college was created because messaging could not go out to the masses. There was no form of communication back then.
Right.
So they created electoral college for somebody to win and pay people to go rush the campaign office. So do we still need that method?
Mm-hmm.
But he just did what they didn't want him to do when he said he was giving $1 million away a day to somebody that go out and vote for Trump.
Well, you know, now that's in some states because Pennsylvania's attorney general or secretary of state, whichever one, actually shot his ass down in court. So they can't do that in Pennsylvania, but they are doing that in other states.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh, it's illegal, and that particularly was the reason why we have electoral colleges. They don't want a person with a well-armed machine to take and go into a state and say, "Hey, I pay you to vote. I pay you to vote." Because it's typically it's actually buying a vote.
Yes,
Right.
that's
So
what it
that's
is.
why the electoral college was created. But can anybody answer me this? What does a new revamped electoral college look like?
Well, I think it should just no electoral college. Just use the popular vote and call it a day.
I agree.
That's what I'm saying.
I agree.
There's really no need. It doesn't serve a purpose anymore.
It does not.
Because like we said earlier, the race really came down to 7 states. It didn't go to all 48 or 50 if you count Alaska and Hawaii, which they haven't turned in their votes yet. But she did. You know, you don't have to if you're really running a well managed campaign. You only focus on those 7. Because those are the votes you need to win. You don't need the rest of the states. And what does that say to the rest of the states? You don't care. You're not going to do that.
You don't matter.
You don't matter.
In southern red states, where I have a lot of black men told me,
yep.
they vote anyway.
Yep.
So the last time
Biden did.
Biden. And Hillary won it the time before.
2016. Yeah.
Oh, Hillary was running over.
Yeah, we wouldn't even have a Trump if we did that.
But you would think after Hillary and the outcry for people for them to redo it, they would have redone it by now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's because Democrats are so stuck in their ways and scared.
How do we get something past a Trump Supreme Court? Because even if he's not elected, he's still going to be. He's still going to have his Supreme Court.
Yeah.
If he's not elected, he's still going to have his Supreme Court. So how do we get that past them?
Well, now I'm gonna tell you. The one thing when it comes to the Supreme Court, now I think they've done a lot to try to help this man, but I think after what they did in Bush v. Gore, I honestly don't think that they want to have their hands in anything else what they have done. I think they've done more than enough to get this felon, to keep this felon out here on, with the opportunity to survive until after the end of this election. But I doubt very seriously, and I really don't think, because I don't put anything past them, but I don't think that they would do anything else to push this man any further, because I think Clarence Thomas just gonna have to suck it up, just retire, because he wants to retire, but he don't want to retire for a Democratic president. He just need to retire, because there's no way I could actually show my face and then try to hold other judges or lawyers around this country up on standards and ethics when he has broke ethics in so many ways. Him and Alito, they both should, excuse my French, but both of their asses need to be locked up too, because they're being bought, and everybody knows this. Now Roberts, his junk is just oozing out now as well. So if they're all being bought, that means that we know that there's two justice systems, but there's really no justice. Justice only pertains to who they want it to pertain to. And so to keep your feet on the necks of those that can afford legal representation, hey, they're going to always do that. But now, is it like now blatantly, we know blatantly, these people are liars, they're thieves, they've been bought. So the system itself is not right. Why would anybody believe that if you're going to before any judge, what makes you think that judge is not going to see your case fairly? It's happened for millions of years. It's still happening, and it's only worse now, because these folk feel like, because we're so close to them now, they feel like we are going to treat them the way they've treated us. So as long as they got just that fingernail still on the system, they're not going to let that go.
No, I agree with you, because when they asked Joe Biden, when he originally got in there, he said, "I will not." The problem with the Democrats, we play by the
right.
If they would have got in here and the ball was on the other, if the ball was in their court, they would have added enough judges to balance it out.
Yep.
So immediately when she becomes president of the United States, she can't play with that.
No.
Judges.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, to balance it out, she has to add more judges. Maybe if she go out and get some less conservative, or pretty much balance the yin and the yang out. So, because we can't have all y'all agreeing like this continuously, because we got some tough issues coming up over the next 2 years.
Oh yeah.
So until they fix that, that's one of the first issues. The other issue is the health care. They're steady tampering, trying to chip her away with the Social Security. My mom, she's 62 years old. She's ready to retire. She want her money. She can't work till she's 70. Trump's plan would bankrupt Social Security in 4 years. He has a history of bankrupting businesses. Okay. Every business he started, from Trump Airline all the way to the casinos, bottled water to the meat. There's a whole list of them. The feather release, everything he's touched has failed. So now you're going to put the Social Security in his hand.
Right. Just an update. The electoral numbers are 205 to 230. Trump.
Mm-hmm. By the way, CNN is projecting that Trump will win North Carolina.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I just saw that.
That's very disheartening.
Yeah, 50 to 48 with 90% in. But Pennsylvania is still out with, well, it's getting tight. It's 81% put in so far as 51-47 Trump. But Michigan is 39%, has just come in. Is at 39%, 51-46 Trump. and Wisconsin is at 69% in, and it's 50 to 47 Trump. So the blue wall is in play right now. Minnesota is finally went light blue. They're 51% in. They're at 53 to 44. So it's going to come down to the blue wall. Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, and Minnesota.
Yeah, still Georgia.
Georgia's at 91% in, and it's 51-48. So Georgia, unless there's some numbers that ain't out yet.
Yeah. So, so they have counted the early vote.
I don't think so. That might be the swing. This is just the today. I know.
Yeah.
I think I don't know. Dash would know that. Are you in Georgia too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like Dr. Somone has a very bright spirit there in front of her.
Yes, this is my sorority sister, Shirley Chisholm. She's reported to be one of the first people to run for Black women to run for president, but actually the first person is Charlene Mitchell, who ran 4 years before her.
Huh.
I didn't
Didn't know that.
Yes.
Did not know that.
So I have her here in spirit. I'm hoping that we have a different outcome, but she's one of a few Black women who have run for president that Kamala is standing on their shoulders.
Right. Oh, Nevada hasn't been called yet.
No,
I mean, they ain't got nothing on here.
they ain't got Colorado in either.
Called what? What'd you say, Charles?
California's at 20% reporting, 58 for Kamala, 39 for Trump so far.
Y'all got some inflated numbers in California. I'm just kidding. Because I got 61-35 with 37% called in.
Well, your the website that you're on is probably reporting faster than I'm on the Secretary of State's
Oh, okay.
page.
Gotcha. Yeah, Arizona's still out. What happened here?
Are they showing a percentage for Arizona?
Let me see. It's tight. 50% in. It's 49.8 to 49.4.
Hmm.
And Trump is ahead, but they got the others at 0.8.
Oh, wow.
So if that others wouldn't have voted, we'd have a different race. At 0.8 would swing it.
Yeah, then
You
they
can say at 0.8, even if you split it. Well, if you split it, it goes to Trump. But if it, let's see.
Georgia's got those other two folk that actually is on the ballot here in Georgia. That's actually Jill Stein and some other guy.
Yep.
They've actually cut a point into the election.
Yep. That's in Arizona too. You got Chase Oliver and Jill Stein. They both got they got 75-43, 7,543 for Chase and 7,183 for Jill Stein. 0.4 each of them. So that cut into the numbers. But Maricopa went to Kamala.
Yeah, that's Phoenix.
Okay. Pima or Pima?
That's Prima.
Okay, they went to Kamala by big numbers, and so did Santa Cruz.
Mm.
But Mojave went to Trump 76%. La Paz is still out. It hasn't been counted. And Apache hasn't been counted.
What is the percentage of the polls reporting in Maricopa County?
Whoops, I just left there. Hold on. Maricopa, 54%.
Okay, so it's still a lot of numbers out.
Yep, and then Kamala's up 50 to 48.
Hmm.
Do you know how many electoral votes for California if she wins that?
34.
So that's not included in the current number?
Yeah.
Yeah, they already called California.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So how's everybody feeling at this point, given where the race is at?
I think somebody need to pass the bottle. No, I'm just playing.
Oh man.
I will always remain optimistic. I'm going to tell you that because, I do believe that there's a lot to come in because there's a lot that's actually not out there. And I just hope that this doesn't come down to, as we mentioned, like maybe some 30 minutes ago, that is showing him being stuck at that 230 for like an hour. And now she's staggered all the way back to where she's inside 200 electoral votes and everything turns upside down. And now we've got to prepare for these folks to also want to go crazy and think that they can run things. Right. But I just hope that they're careful about the things that they do. Because we don't need to have any of that craziness going around, and I don't think people are going to take any of that laying down. I honestly don't.
Yeah, CNN is just now calling Washington, but they still she's up by 20 percentage points, 59% in, 58 to 38, so she's comfortable there. But they said 227. See, CNN got a 227.
See, that's because they done added some other ones in there that some of these other places ain't counting. Because is he still at 234? That they could put the North Carolina numbers in his?
He's still hanging at 230.
Yeah. Okay.
So Harris is up to 205.
Yeah. Okay.
So according to my screen, they haven't called Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Arizona, and Nevada. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 states still out. They showing a shot of Las Vegas on CNN. I should go over to MSNBC, see what they're saying. They tend to be a little more colorful at MSNBC. Oh Lord, I'll be in my prayer. I'll be in the war room.
In the prayer closet. Huh?
Yes, sir.
Oh my.
I won't be sleeping too much tonight.
This is nerve-wracking, boy. I tell you.
Yes, sir. I mean, I was really praying that it would be a landslide, that people would wake up today and come to their senses and realize that there's no way that this country can run under another 4 years of Trump. That was my hope. Bob Casey, they said, is too close to call. I thought they called his race.
Why did Jill Stein run every year? What is that about?
Jill Stein?
She's running interference.
Huh?
She's running interference.
Yeah.
But I feel like when people like her, yeah, shouldn't be.
Oh, they didn't call it. Okay.
They shouldn't be able to do that.
Well, it begs the question, I heard someplace, do we really have a democracy or do we have a republic?
Mm-hmm.
And if we have a
I like
republic,
how you said that.
yeah, if we have a republic, then they broke it down and said we follow the rule of law. But if we have a democracy, we follow the rule of the people. And I think that's why it says, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under allegedly God. You don't see the allegedly part. I'm sorry, I put that in there. So when you see a Jill Stein running, it's because anyone can run for office.
True.
But if that be the case, then we should only go by public vote. I mean, the people should make the decision.
Mm-hmm.
Can't
And
have
how
a
many years?
democracy and a
How many
republic at the same time.
elections have she did this?
Say what?
This is like her. I know she did it in the Obama administration. How many elections have she ran for office?
Ain't she ran in every one just about?
Yeah, she's doing what that she's doing what Ralph Nader did, because Ralph Nader and the rich man, the oil man from Texas used to do that all the time.
Ross Perot.
Ross Perot.
Mm-hmm.
That's his name. Yes.
Yeah.
So I have often said that we need more than one party in the United States. It should be 4, maybe 5. We came close to that with the Tea Party.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned that Democrats and Republicans became best friends in the Tea Party.
Right. That's the one thing they agreed on.
We don't need them up in here muddying up the water.
Mm-hmm.
But overseas, there's multiple parties and factions within parties.
Right. Because they actually have a democracy. They allow the people to make the decision for the fate of the country. And we're afraid to do that. Because again, if you look at the numbers, African American and people of color outnumber the white evangelical males that want to continue to run the country. And we haven't figured that out yet. And so you create factions within a faction, and so we don't get along, and we don't work together to really get what we want.
Yeah.
Which I've always said, if African American folks really, really wanted to change this country, although we changed it anyway, hold your vote. And say you ain't gonna vote for nobody unless they gonna fit our agenda, or at least some of it. But we don't have an agenda. But we're the number one on every health disparity. We're the number one in criminal justice. We're the number one in all of this, but we don't have an agenda. Education, we're not doing well, but we don't have an agenda. And so anybody can come to us and give us a crumb, and we happy.
Mm-hmm.
I tell folks I'm an independent that tend to lean to the Democrats. But you got to tell me what you want. I mean, you're going to tell me what you're going to do not for me, but what are you going to do for the majority of the people? Because what you do for the least, the left out, and the lonely is what's going to affect me. If you take care of them, I'm going to be good. But if I'm only trying to grease the palms of those that already got greasy palms, then that ain't going to work for me. They're saying Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota too close to call.
Yeah.
Arizona and Nevada is too early. Okay. Oh, she got New Jersey. That's 14. That's 14 votes though. 85% in, she's up 51-46.
I'm trying to understand what's this issue that's going on here in Pennsylvania, because there's like a whole bunch of vote out, and there is like what the way they're actually showing this is it's not making sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because now it's saying that with the way the vote, the way it's looking and so forth, that there's just so much stuff in here that, I don't know.
To her staff, laying out what they
So
see
why is
ahead in the
they
coming
hold them on
days and
Philadelphia?
hours.
In Philly,
Essentially says
Philadelphia 70%.
largely going
In it's 77-21. Harris.
that general
Okay, they just called Hawaii for Kamala.
Oh,
A third of the registered, and with such a big
Yep.
election,
gotcha.
there's always about right WD with the
Now that's
Secretary of
interesting.
State
They called it, but there's no votes.
voters. In Jefferson's diverse group of voters have been in and out the library casting their votes. We spoke to some voters who are voting for the first time, and some who say it's tradition to be an early bird.
is good. It's the first
Unofficial result
includes Nebraska's making their voices heard on ballot. 6 of them, voters weighed in on competing abortion initiatives, for example. Or Protect Women and Children initiative. Right now, there are 265,608 yes votes, and that's important because 9 or relates to an abortion measure. It has 280,301 votes right now. The one with the most votes out of those two, 434 and 439, right now.
Measure 436. This is about paid sick leave in Nebraska. Appears on
Nevada. What? Wait a minute. How y'all call Nevada and ain't no numbers on here?
Did they give it to Kamala?
No. Let me refresh.
Man, look at all this vote though that's still out in Georgia, here in Metro Atlanta and around the Columbus area. There's like so much vote that's left. Why are they waiting? What's going on? I wonder. All that's and all of it that's out there is all blue. I'm not getting that.
Very interesting. They called Utah, and Utah only has 0.3% of the vote in.
Yeah.
But it's 60 to 37% Trump.
Well, the more
Idaho,
the Mormon.
Ooh, Lord. Yeah, they're calling states that don't even have over 50% of the vote in.
Yeah, like the 2 and 3%. Virginia, she just got Virginia. So that means Northern Virginia just came in. She's got 13 more electoral votes there.
Yep. Let's see what that do.
It's 230 to 182.
Nope, 230 to 209.
Oh, 209. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Unless I got a Democratic computer. Oh, God. You gotta laugh.
Yeah, so with that 16% of the vote that's out there in Pennsylvania, I'm just wondering where is that? Because it looks like it was Philly. And in Michigan, not all of Michigan is in. It's only down to 45%. So I'm just, oh man, this is like the wildest thing I think I've ever seen. And what's happening in Wisconsin? I mean, I need to see the breakdown of Wisconsin because Milwaukee cannot be reported.
Hold on.
I have to sit my device down.
Oh,
because it's good. I start looking at it and I say, "Oh wow."
Milwaukee's at 57% in. Kamala's up 66% to 31%.
And see, and this right here that's in Arizona, these 11 electoral votes with 52% of the precincts in. I don't want to have to go to sleep and wake up on the late slide, and then you got all of the you have we have this big old fight going in because nobody's called Nevada. It's got 6 electoral votes, but Trump is up.
But isn't Nevada one of those states that there's?
They just they're like one of those that's got this liberal thing about how long the election can go on because they get to count votes up until the weekend. So they have 3 phases of how they count vote. Okay, I'm looking at Pennsylvania. Oh man, that's a whole big old pocket over there in Philadelphia. Part of Philadelphia that hadn't been counted. But Harris is up, so I mean, it's Philadelphia County.
Yeah, she's up 78-20.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's one Cameron County in Pennsylvania hasn't reported any numbers yet. So
Charles, I noticed that there are some questions from the audience on the side there.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Come on, host.
Okay. Look, I wasn't looking. Let's see. Okay, this is one of the questions is to Pastor Joel A. Bowman Sr. I may not have a camera on my government laptop. I'm charged. What?
No.
That's the private chat. That's for us.
Yeah.
Go to the other side.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Shit.
What? 172 to 214.
One of the questions is from my friend Kawan Owens.
Wait a minute.
It says Kawan's Corner.
I don't see those questions unless
we got you.
Where is? Oh, is that on the YouTube channel?
No, it's on Restream. It's in the chat room.
Oh Lord, there's several questions over here.
You're popular, Charles.
Okay. Let me go down here. Somebody says male misogyny, particularly against Black women, is real, sad, and very unfortunate. Let's see. They said the same thing about Black males. Not nearly all Black men, but a few. Some clearly it's a problem. Too much noise in the background. We got that situated. Here's one for Kawan. I do see that one. Greetings. While I know that the race is not over and will remain optimistic, I'm curious if the esteemed panel may have words of wisdom on how to move forward if the outcome is less than desirable.
Well, I heard that Ottawa is really nice this time of year. I'm kidding.
Oh man.
Anybody got any words of wisdom going forward?
I'm still trying to
for me personally, as a believer of Christ, I just keep in mind that the word says in Romans 13:1-2 that we are to follow the government and we follow the law, but God is ultimately in control. He is the ultimate authority. And so we have respect for the office of president, but we know that things are controlled outside and elsewhere. So that's how I'm going to deal with it. That's how I dealt with it when Trump was in office before, and just, using our own wisdom, especially when he was giving us advice on how to manage in COVID. Just like we have to use our own wisdom. and just know better, even though the person is in that role.
I say that despite all, just of course, it's beyond our control, and so with it being beyond our control, we only can hope that the people that did what they need to do went out and did that. So for me, I say, regardless of the case, if people are really going to watch this thing and they are really going to just feel confident about what's happening right now, I think we all should be grown enough, man and woman enough, to look in the mirror and say that you're happy about what you did. But for those that want to put more innocent people in the same category as to how they feel because they are misogynists, hey, you are what you are. But what's coming to you for being that person, that's going to come to you. So I still believe that throughout all this, and when it comes down to the end, I honestly believe that Kamala's going to pull this out. It's a little bit closer than I think what it should be. But I'm just trying to figure out, why is it that in all of these states that's unreported, why all these areas blue? Is this the setup for, okay, they stole the election from Trump? I mean, that's what I'm wondering, because that's what this looks like.
Yeah, well, I am hopefully optimistic like you are, Charles. But I think, to answer the question realistically, uh, we just have to be more mindful and more careful as we prepare for, worst case scenario is prepare for 2028, and learn from what we didn't do, and go from there, because I still believe that whoever's in there is still going to come down to your state house, and who are your state and local officials, and how engaged you are to make the changes needed for your neighborhoods, because that's where the work is. And so we have to continue to do the work on the ground, for a better way of life for those who are less fortunate.
Well, I'm gonna say this: they're inside Wayne County's counting center, and they're fucking with the folks counting the goddamn votes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who are you looking at?
That's
it's on CNN.
In Detroit?
They're in Detroit at Wayne County. They're fucking with the folks counting the votes.
Oh,
Are these people armed?
This is crazy. Oh, forgive me for that.
Outstanding absentee ballots in Detroit, part of Wayne County. About 4,000 we expect. That's the final batch, not just, we are told, of absentee ballots outstanding, but the final outstanding votes in Detroit, part of Wayne County. So when that truck comes through the door, they're going to tabulate those. That gets us to the point where they're going to have, in effect, all the votes they need to count, and get to that point where they're going to be ready to report those final figures. We're told it could be in the next few minutes. We'll be watching. We'll report back when it happens. Yeah, that could be the point when you get that big batch reported publicly.
Oh, okay.
In Detroit, Wayne County. And you were noting that we don't have Wayne County to the granular level that we can see Dearborn and other places where there were a lot of uncommitted votes during the Democratic primary. And just to remind our viewers, during the Democratic primary,
well, as they say in the football games, it's the fourth quarter and 2 minutes left. And the game ain't over till the fat lady sings, and she's just tuning up. Oh, my goodness. Well, we can go grab another pot of coffee.
Well, in 2016, I went to bed thinking Hillary had won, and I woke up to the news that Trump won. I'm
Wow.
I'm, I'm hoping that we'll have the reverse this time.
Yeah. I'm with you there, sir.
Yeah.
I hope that answered. I don't know if he was still on, if Kawan got his answer that he was looking for.
Yeah. Let me text him. Another lesson I think we could learn if this does not pan out the way we want it is that the folks on the right, the Republicans, have been playing the long game. You know, going all the way back to Barry Goldwater, Nixon, on up through Reagan, the Bushes. I mean, this did not happen in a vacuum. Trump did not happen in a vacuum. He is the result of years of activism and billions of dollars being poured into the conservative movement by the Koch brothers and other people. So we got to learn how to play the long game.
Well, I think, one of the things I've always pushed on different platforms that I've been, honored to be on is that in any election, be it your local election or to the national, at some point we as a people got to figure out, what do we really want? What do we want in the area of healthcare? What do we want in the area of economics, or job creation, things like that? Not just on a local level, that's one, but also on a national level, um, and really come up with a multi-level agenda that we can present to those who run for office on the various levels, that will benefit us, and others. I think every ethnic group and every group should know what they want for their people. And I'm not saying we're looking for one leader, but I think time has come now, and the technology gives us the ability to really hear from every facet of our community. And we have the technology, we have the education, we have the means. If we would just can somehow come together and say, we will not give you our vote unless these things are a part of your platform. Not saying we want everything, but we should want something, as opposed to anybody come and tell us anything and we say, okay, I'll vote for you. That's how we get into partisan politics. That's how we get into, you know, um, gender identity or racial identity politics, is because we really don't know what we want. And then it's easy for people to say to us, oh, well, they always vote Democratic, because that's always what they've done. Well, no, there's some within us that vote Republican too, but that's not maybe the majority. And so I think it's time for us to really have a real discussion. And I've said this, that it's no longer looking for that one leader, but we need to create leadership, which is a ship full of leaders, of
Yep.
people who are very versed in various areas that affect us adversely.
Exactly.
The faith community needs to come together. The medical community needs to come together. The law community needs to come together. We got people in all those areas. There's no area that we don't touch, that we could come up with a general agenda on a local, county, state, and federal level to say, this is what we need for the next generation. We may never see it, but that to me is what you're saying, Dr. Bowman, is that's that long game. What do we want 10 years from now that we need to start working on now, for that next generation? Because, we only going to make a few more cycles in this game. I'm 59. I got a few more cycles left, but at some point, when do we really see the benefit within our community of government interaction, and not so much government interference? I personally think we should take over Detroit and just move all there, but that's my own personal belief. Well, Dr. King, what say you?
Well, typically, to add to context to what you just said, human beings normally typically vote in 10 elections in their lifetime, ten presidential elections.
Hmm. I mean,
Yeah. I would like to say it should be getting better, but it won't get better. And my friends keep calling on the other line saying they're watching or asking questions. But I would like to say typically it will get better eventually, but it just show no sign of getting better. It shows no sign of getting better. It just shows sign of this is something that's gonna get a lot more uglier. I don't think that when we had the time of being in defense, I don't think we used it wisely. But
yeah.
this is the biggest crap pot I've ever seen.
I mean, I'm just, I'm really trying to wrap my head around. Though I'm sorry, and I know that it sounds like beating a dead horse in the ground, but I'm really trying to wrap my head around why is it that in all of these states that they're saying too close to call, all the vote is in blue areas,
Mm.
and they're having difficulties counting the vote, or what is it?
Because a lot of states couldn't start counting to this morning, and a lot of them couldn't, and the other ones couldn't start counting. Oh shit! To the polls closed. I'm gonna get up and get me a little coffee so I can complete my task tonight.
You should have did that before.
Yeah.
No.
Oh well, you know, I was
I'm messing with
I
you,
was in
man.
Macon, Georgia. I had to
Don't
drive back from Macon,
don't listen to
I'm
me. I've
gonna
been off all day.
I'm gonna check out. Let you
All right,
know I'm
All
gonna
right,
check out.
Dr. Jones.
All right, Dr. Jones.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care.
I
God
appreciate
bless
you.
you,
You
sir.
are.
so
All right, bless
today I
you.
worked in Macon, Georgia. I had to drive back from Macon, Georgia, which is about a half an hour ride. Um, that was weird. So I had to cover exit polls in a place was unfamiliar with.
Ooh, that's scary.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about Lehigh County, Pennsylvania.
Lehigh.
Well, they haven't even gotten all of Fulton. There's still some white around Fulton and DeKalb.
Lehigh.
I mean, all of that blue out there. What is going on in Philadelphia?
Philly, 78-20.
Yeah, but they ain't got all the vote in, and I'm not understanding why.
Yeah, 78%. Oh, there's Lehigh on there. It's 50-48 in Lehigh. Let me double check that. Lehigh. 98% in from Lehigh. Yeah, 50-48. But again, in Pennsylvania, you got that Jill Stein and Chase Oliver spoiler alert. And they got 0.7 and 0.5 respectively of the vote in Lehigh County. Yeah, see, they've taken about a percentage point in most of the votes.
Yep.
0.8% almost in each state, in each county, I mean. Yep.
Well, Charles, I probably need to go ahead and tap out as well. I've got to be at work tomorrow morning early, and I'll just be prayerful as I go to bed.
Well, I thank you too for being a part of this wonderful cast, and it's been really wonderful. But we're not getting the numbers that we wanted to see now, but I'm sure overnight that's going to change.
I pray so. I pray so.
That's what we can do.
Yeah.
I know that we, we all got a long ways to go. And how do the rest of you guys feel? Y'all still are in, or are you guys all ready to sign out?
Yeah, I think we can call it because they ain't gonna call it.
Yeah. So I
I
mean,
definitely enjoyed this opportunity.
yes, I'm
Great.
happy that you all was here, and it was definitely a great event. But again, we still got a ways to go. It's not over yet. But I am going to tell you guys the one thing that I've done, like I did the last election. I will be up until the cows come home. I will be up till the cows come home because I'm gonna see what Jake Tapper talks about, so I won't get a chance to talk about him real bad in a blog post. But
I'm gonna be up. I don't know if some of it will be up with me.
I'm gonna be up, but here's what
Yeah,
I have to think: what type of article that I'm gonna put out come tomorrow?
yeah,
I already know what the AI artwork gonna be.
right.
Crabs in a barrel.
I like that. I
yeah.
like that.
I'll be doing a special podcast myself on TikTok, and it'll either be we've made the change or the title will be what the hell happened.
Yeah.
So I got two titles in the queue.
Well, at any rate, I know
Okay,
that you guys are probably right.
official election results are still being tabulated in Fulton County.
Oh God.
Well, the good thing is that the electoral vote now. I don't know where CNN is getting their numbers for Kamala, but the numbers I have is 210 for Harris and 230 for Trump,
Okay.
and there's
Yeah,
still
they hadn't
98
updated
feet
her.
for me. Huh?
They hadn't updated her.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A little slow. That's why I like this computer better. Arizona, yeah, they're still looking at Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota.
Yeah, well,
All of the
Wisconsin,
blue
they've already
laws.
said that Wisconsin is not going to be done. It's going to be overnight
Okay,
because they've got more than 27,000, almost 28,000 mail-in ballots to count, as well as other tabulations that they have got to make for early vote and what these folks have done today.
gotcha.
Gotcha. Okay, well, we must do this again.
Oh,
I've
definitely.
enjoyed.
Yeah, we'll be back in 2 years
Yeah,
Oh
for the
exactly.
no.
midterm.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Oh
sir.
no, I don't want to do this for the midterms. We got to do this before the midterms.
So we,
That's the problem.
we may have to do this tomorrow.
See
Hey,
what's going on.
he has my
Shoot.
contact information. I think I'm taking a personal day tomorrow.
Yeah, that's
Well,
wise.
I want to thank you guys, and I appreciate everybody spending this time. And we got a chance to do this, and we didn't get a chance to make that call tonight, but hopefully we may get a chance to make it tomorrow because again, as they're tabulating that vote in Fulton County, as Dash was just talking about, Kamala keeps inching closer, but it's only by 2,000s or 1,000 percentage point. So I don't know what they're
But
counting.
What?
so let me also check Savannah.
Savannah's still
What
not
about
in either.
Savannah?
That's what I'm saying. All of Savannah is still out.
So all the major black areas are still not in.
Right.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying.
All right.
Okay, until tomorrow. See you tomorrow.
All right, folks. God bless you. Thank you.
All right. Hey, see you guys tomorrow.
Good night.
Good night. Y'all have a great evening.